right, so Chris has just landed in LAX, and I'm on my way to pick him up for our trip down to San Diego Comic-Con.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And welcome to our annual Comic-Con International Recap episode, live, right now at least, from California.
And from my place, Chris is here.
I'm here.
He's right in front of me. I'm looking at him. It's kind of weird.
I am in his closet.
Usually, when we were setting up, I was telling him, I was like, usually I'm staring directly into my computer monitor, and it's weird because we don't have Skype open, I don't have earbuds in, and you're sitting here at this little table with me. It's just, it's all very strange, but all for the best reasons.
Oh, this is absolutely wonderful. We don't have to worry about a delay or the internet going out. Everything's just right here. And I'm gonna edit this as soon as we're done because I'm leaving at 4 a.m. to go back to the Midwest.
Yeah, your time schedule is crazy, and it showed while we were down at Comic-Con because you were 3 hours off, which was advantageous for certain panels, but disadvantageous. Disadvantage? It was a disadvantage to you because your meal schedule was totally off. So you would want to eat at the times when we wanted to be in panels, and so we kept you fed with Cliff Bars, and you tried Soylent, and you tried different hamburgers while you were out here. You went on a burger journey.
Well, I think that's the most important thing here. I was doing my regional hamburger stop, starting with White Castle in my hometown. Going directly to Dallas for Whataburger.
That was during your layover, one of your many layovers.
One of the two. The other one was in Albuquerque, but I didn't have to get off the plane, thankfully. And then what was the first thing we did? We came back here, but what did I have the first?
We tried Shake Shack.
Shake Shack,
which is actually an East Coast burger, but we happen to have them out here in L.A., so you were able to get that out of the way.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I think there was something else too. I just don't remember what. Oh, the taco truck. We had the taco truck.
Yeah, the taco truck. That was delicious. Not really part of the burger journey, but it was authentically Los Angeles and Southern California.
Yeah, right off an airplane. Just get those tacos.
Yeah, we're getting tacos first before I'm taking you back to my place.
Yeah, and then finally today was the In-N-Out journey. So.
Yeah, and you might hear Chris struggling a little bit on this podcast as he tends to his skin because he was dealing with a new type of sun out here in Southern California. If you're familiar with the Midwest, there's a thing out there called humidity, which triggers the human body to go, you do not need to be outside right now. This is dangerous. Go back indoors. Whereas out here, you can be under the sun all day and actually technically not even really sweat. So it was beautiful weather down in San Diego, but Chris unfortunately has felt the scourge of the sun, so he might be ailing during this podcast.
Oh yeah, it like I said, Sheryl Crow sang this song. I'm gonna soak up the sun, and by God, I have soaked up all the California sun I could this week.
Yeah, and if you can tell, we got lots of anecdotes and stories from Comic-Con coming up because usually our normal annual Comic-Con wrap-up episodes is me coming back from the convention, doing my best to describe Chris what this convention is like, what the scale is, what San Diego in general is like, how it just takes over the whole town. But he got to come with me this year, so you got a little extra insight this year to where we were both there. It's Chris's first time, but as you all know, he's a con professional, an aficionado. He knows he has more con experience in general than I do. I've just gone to the one many times. He's been to very small ones, very now possibly the largest one, unless there's one like, I don't know, in India or China that I can't imagine. But for Comic-Cons, this one I think is fair to say the biggest. So I've been waiting weeks and months ever since I found out that Chris was coming. So what do we start this off like a review episode for a movie, Chris? To tell me what you thought. I guess spoilers included about San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. So San Diego Comic-Con.
He's at a loss for it. It's a big weekend. There's a lot going on.
So we traveled to say we went with our friend Quentin Parker.
Friend of the show usually is how we describe him.
So we drove down in his tracker. So now, mind you, San Diego is not a hop, skip, and a jump away.
No, it's a little bit of a drive.
And we loaded up in the morning, first thing in the morning.
Very early in the morning.
We hit no traffic. Traffic wasn't bad, but the tracker is a very unique experience. It's an older vehicle that has no air conditioning.
Yes.
Has one of the older school radios you buy at a Walmart and pop in the dashboard.
It's like if you don't go through the settings of this faceplate, it just does the rainbow effect of going through all the LED colors.
And we've got like all of our luggage in the back for this week, and just us just riding down. I don't think we listened to the radio once the whole way.
Yeah, because we realized like we wanted to have a conversation, but we had to have the windows down, so it was loud. It was pretty hilarious. I think you described it as being back a kid again, or jumping in somebody's like beater car that just doesn't have AC. I mean, no shame towards Quentin.
Not at all.
That was just the vehicle that we had available, because my car is very tiny and we couldn't fit 3 people comfortably. So the process of elimination got us to the tracker, but it got us down there safe, even though he told us a precarious situation where he was dealing with tie rods like the day before that we got in this car. But it all worked out great. So special shout out to Quentin for getting us to the con. Very important task.
So we get there, we go to the hotel, we park the car, leave the luggage, get immediately on the shuttles, which I have to say, I told Mike a bunch of times, the shuttles are very nice, very timely, very clean, and we never had to wait for the next one.
Yeah,
like it was very just like go.
This is like if you're in a city with transportation, like even like subway trains, if you just happen to miss one, you could be waiting around if it's late enough, like 20 or 30 minutes for the next train. But they are very, like, I would say they're very militant about these. I would say the best trained people at the con are the people that drive these shuttles. They're just on the route all the time, so it makes these hotels that are kind of on the outskirts of downtown more viable. So. It worked out great.
And we literally just went right down in the hall, and boom, there it is, a large convention center. You can't tell by looking at it how big it is.
Yeah.
But it is long. It is a long thing. So we go in there, we walk in, we follow up, zig-zag all around this building. I think we walked upstairs at one end, had to go all the way down to the other to get our badges and bags. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't know this, they give out random bags with different prints on the back. Mm-hmm. And you see people with, I saw Swamp Thing, and I ended up with a Muppet version of Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I got the Watchmen one.
Yeah, we all. I had the Watchmen originally, and then I was able to swap it out with some people because the bag swaps are a thing there.
Yeah, is that something that you've experienced like at bigger cons where people get like merch and they're on Twitter trying to hot swap with like strangers?
Usually like more like the other ones are like pins or something like that. So they don't give out bags like this. Mm-hmm. Like the other ones. Usually a vendor will do that. Like my last one I did, there was a Geico thing where they give out the bags, but like they're usually it's all the same thing, just mass produced that everybody gets. So we get our bags, and then we're like, you know what, we got our bags, let's go try for the biggest thing in the convention, Hall H.
Yes.
So we go to the Hall H, we walk through, and there's not a line really, it's just a bunch of tented areas that we zigzag back and forth.
Yeah, we were really lucky because Thursday's a little bit of a unique experience because it's a con that technically starts Wednesday night if you're lucky enough to get there early enough, but really the flagship day is Thursday. But it's a Thursday, like a Thursday the same every other city in the country. There's people off work, there's people that have to go to work, so it's a little bit of a lighter con. And the scheduling for Hall H wasn't too intense, it wasn't too crazy on Thursday, so we just said kind of fuck it,
let's try.
And we just were essentially able to, what people say, walk right on in. Like we had to wait a little bit. But yeah, we were able to get right into Hall H, which was unique for me too, because I've been going to this con for maybe like 7 or 8 years in a row now, and I've always avoided Hall H because there's a looming specter that just floats over that line that Chris will tell you about here momentarily later.
So we walk through this, and we have to wait maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We've got this lovely British guy next to us who does not know how to apply suntan lotion, and got it in his eye, so he's like crying tears like involuntarily.
Yeah, he's just like, I just want to see this Batman Beyond panel so bad.
So we walk in, and it's at the end of Terminator. We didn't
Dark Fate,
the new one, and we didn't know what's going on. But up there, they've got Sarah Connor, they've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Cameron, the director Rob Miller, and they're literally, it's pitch black, and they they're showing the end of the footage, so we see end. So they're like, he's like, then Robbie like, bring the fucking footage back, and then like literally verbatim, and so we got to see the whole trailer again.
Yeah, which was great because we walked in the middle of it.
Yeah, so we got to see that, which I think was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly if it's out there online yet. I don't think we even bothered to check because we saw it firsthand ourselves. Yeah. But I believe we were treated maybe exclusively to an extended scene. And then maybe it led into like the trailer proper.
Yeah, it's it looks like it's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can go out there and check it out. So that was a unique experience. Like that's something that you usually have to work a little harder to get at Comic-Con is get right there with big celebrities. Like I think you leaned over to me and you're like, "That's Arnold Schwarzenegger up there," because the Hall H is huge, and we were sitting in the back, of course, because we got there late. But luckily, I mean, these are basically like sports stadiums to where there's like cameras and there's jumbotrons inside of these gigantic halls. So like we had to wait for them to zoom in so we could see the panel up there. So I was like, oh, if I squint, I think that kind of looks like Arnold's meaty head.
Yeah. So, I mean, they have 3 large television, or not television, I guess projector screens in the back, and you can see, if you're close enough to those, you can see just like you're up front, and it was pretty cool. So then the screen goes black, and then since we just saw on the notes, next thing you know, Conan OBrien bursts on stage.
Yeah. Which was,
out of nowhere.
Which was a shocker because I thought it was a Terminator panel, but actually it was a broader like Paramount panel.
It was Terminator, which is brought by Paramount.
Yeah.
However, Paramount decided, hey, I don't want to buy a second for a couple minutes. So Conan's going on. He's hyping this up. Next thing you know, he brings out Tom Cruise out of nowhere, left field.
Yeah, which is it's pretty crazy knowing that you could technically be breathing the same air as Tom Cruise.
Yeah, right. And then Tom Cruise is talking, and I'm like, what Tom Cruise's movie's coming out?
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to Top Gun, which was 30 years ago now.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was intentional or if it just happened to come along the timeline of production and a trailer was going to be coming soon. But I had totally forgotten because it had been a while since I've seen Top Gun. But it was set in San Diego, so since the movie was made a little bit ago before all these tax credits, there's a good chance it was probably maybe entirely shot in San Diego. So there was a bit of an emotional connection to where the con was. So we got to see the trailer, which is pretty cool. Usually we wouldn't talk about it on the show, but since it's in the context of being at Comic-Con, we got to see it.
This is all part of my review. I want to actually, this is still all part of my review. I'm not just recapping this. So we get done with this, we see that, then we get to sit, we move around because people are leaving the panel for Terminator. They don't want to see Batman Beyond, so we got to see the Batman Beyond panel.
We got to improve our seats. We moved up a little bit after some
right in
people
front of a screen, and it was great. We didn't have to lean back or tilt up anything. That was awesome. And then we waited a little bit longer. We got the Marvel video games panel. So we got to see the world first footage of Marvel's Avengers game coming out next year.
I saw some of it leaked on Reddit, and it was one of the weirder times where it's like, oh, I was there. Like this is the one time where I'm seeing leak footage, but I got it firsthand before I see it come out online.
Yeah, and then we leave, and then we hit the show floor. We just kind of hang around a little bit. I mean, after by the time we got out of there, it was about to close up because they closed up at like 6 or 7 on Thursday.
Yeah, the show floor closes around like 6:30, 7 o'clock. I think maybe it extends more on the weekend, but usually if you still want to check out panels, like you can still go into the panel room. But the show floor proper has its own kind of rules. So Chris, what did you think about the show floor? This was the biggest thing that I kind of was waiting for you to remark on, because the sheer size of it is what really struck me the first time that I saw it, because I feel like once you get about halfway through it, you think you saw it all, but then all of a sudden you realize you only saw half of it, and there's like twice as much. Yeah,
well, and that's exactly what it is. So I'm used to a very large floor. C2E2 has a very, very large floor. However, the C2E2 has that San Diego doesn't is it's a square floor.
Yeah.
San Diego is a long rectangular floor. So I was judging by these concrete columns and arches like, oh, that's like, the end of it, or that's, a halfway point. No, that's like a quarter or an eighth of the distance I thought I'd gone. So I'm like, oh, shit, I got a lot longer to go to get to where I need to be. So we just I just kept walking and walking. So the floor is huge and it's so densely packed. Saturday was the worst to traverse this floor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The worst part is people who meander or have strollers. Those are the biggest things. line management's pretty good. They keep a good eye on the line management.
Yeah, for the most part, it's definitely intimidating though if you don't know exactly what you want to do. For example, Nickelodeon had a really cool booth there. They had like this gigantic Mr. Krabs,
Krabby Patty or whatever, Krusty Krab.
Krusty Krab, yeah, and then they had a chum bucket. So they had a really cool setup down there on the show floor. But you can't just kind of casually walk up and buy merch from them. Somebody will tell you, no, the line's over there against the wall, and it's already wrapped around twice. Yeah. So it can be a little bit shocking, but you kind of start to realize everybody there is a nerd, and they all want the same stuff that you want. So it's a little bit of a battle.
It is. So I mean, in terms of the floor is so long. It's not very wide, it's just long.
Yeah.
And it's very dense. They do not waste any space. There's
Yeah.
no empty space, there's no waiting space, there's no lingering space. If you're not moving, they tell you to move.
Yes.
Or if you're not in a line, they'll tell you to move. So you don't get to stop anywhere. If you're stopping, they want you out or in a lounge area.
Yeah.
With a few lounge areas they have with tables and chairs. Yes, in terms of the amount of content there, fantastic. Getting there at 5:36 right before they close was great because we could move around pretty quick. We moved very quickly, but you couldn't get anything if you wanted to get anything that late in the day.
Yeah, some of the more independent booths, people just there on their own, selling their wares or just their comic books or drawing stuff, they want to go check out the con. They want to go check out the downtown area. So I was there on, I think, Saturday night just before the floor was closing, and I was like, oh, there's this artist. Oh, no, they left already. They covered their stuff. They're ready to go out and enjoy the con also.
Yeah, so, I mean, the floor is huge and ginormous, but a lot of it, to be completely honest with you, is stuff I've seen at C2E2 proper. Get your Marvel booth. It's the same people running that booth that's doing the one in C2E2.
Is it the same layout of the booth? Because I've always wondered.
Yes. Actually, they have more space at C2E2. Marvel's bigger.
That's what I would imagine, because these booths, they can only get so large. Marvel has all the money in the world. They could buy as much booth as they wanted, but they are limited literally by space of the floor. So every time I've gone by it every year, it's always been packed. If you're not on their special red carpet, they push you off of it. And there's always tons of stuff going on. There's a giant tower that overlooks, and I would always imagine this was just maybe in a less busy con. Maybe I could actually get into it, but we couldn't even get into it when they were doing giveaways that one night.
Yeah, we couldn't get into it. So the one at C2E2, and is my experience is me and Brian have actually got to hold the props and get our photos on the stages because no one's around.
Yeah.
So that's the amount of people, no matter when, is still very full. But some of the booths, some of the content was the exact same. But the show floor is fantastic. It's truly an experience in and of itself, especially with literally, we're not figure people, you and I. We're doing by statues, but the amount of toys and statues and figures there they had on display, mind blowing.
Yeah, it's great. Even if you're somebody that has a tight wallet, I think it's just fun going and looking at this stuff. It was like Gundam's 30th or 40th?
Gundam's 40th anniversary was this year.
Yeah, and they had I'll use kind of, I guess, an industry term, activations. They had 18 activations over the entire Comic-Con experience. They had stuff outside. They had stuff on local businesses that they took over. They had 4 things on the show floor. They had panels. So.
If you like Gundams, by God, you should have been there.
Yeah, it was the year to go. My favorite thing was if you're familiar out there with building Gundams and the little kits with the snap together plastic pieces, they did something very similar for 2 characters in the Digimon movies that came out in the 2000s. Yeah. And I was just I took some pictures and I was like, oh man, these aren't even for sale here. They were just for pre-order. You had to scan a QR code. And I told Chris, if these were here right now, I would buy them because I love these characters. And it's so obscure. This is the great thing about it, because Digimon has always been competing with Pokemon, so it's always been a little bit more niche. But you're at Comic-Con, so people out there love Digimon and they know what you're talking about. But also, these are figures from a Digimon movie, which I would say has a
20 years old.
Yeah, the series is more popular, I would say, or it has had more eyes than the movie. So it's just this is the thing I love about Comic-Con, where you get to find all these little exclusives and see it in person. It's just great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So that evening we went out on the street. We went to dinner with people. Shout outs to people we met this is real fast. Me and Mike have a mutual friend, Pan. We did not know him. We knew each other until later. Mike met him one way at college. I met him through another person. they have a group of people they go to conventions with. So shout out to not only Pan, but Trisha, Jackie, and Tyler. We met there as well. Trisha and Jackie are big cosplayers. Well, they all cosplay, but they're doing cosplay. And Tyler's 30th birthday was this weekend.
Yeah,
so,
what a weekend! Have your 30th birthday.
So we had dinner with them that evening at a Irish restaurant. Because what's San Diego food? I don't know what that.
Well, I mean, what's Irish food? What pairs better with Irish food, Chris, than a Mai Tai? So
yeah. I did have my. I'm known to have fruity drinks with my dinner, so I had that.
What did the waitress say when she came out and delivered the Mai Tai?
She came up to me and said, "Who the fuck ordered the Mai Tai?" Because she's looking at the girls, and I'm like, "No, it was me."
If you can't tell by now, this podcast is going to be a little longer than our normal ones, but I think it's rightly so. I don't often get Chris here right in front of me, so I just hope you're buckled in. But press pause, take a break if you need to, because we got a lot to cover here.
And the news is still coming.
The news is still coming. I mean, you'll hear it here in a moment, but we have never been 5 bullet points deep in one single topic. So we got a lot to go here. But Chris, you brought up cosplay here, and there's great cosplayers all over the country, because that's the great thing about cosplay. It's just homegrown creativity. You don't need to be in big markets to be great at cosplay. I follow quite a few cosplayers on Instagram, actually, because I just think it's a really cool art, and they're from all over the place. But did you see a different type of caliber at San Diego? Maybe it was just the volume. You just got a chance to see more of it.
To be honest, I saw less cosplay in here than I do at C2E2, because the problem is, as we noticed with one cosplay, I don't know if you're Pam was there, this lady had these large wings with feathers. You can't take big cosplay into this, because you're going to get bumped up against, it's going to get broken, it's going to get torn. If you are good to like dress up like just a regular outfit or a costume, Trisha and Jackie did Kim Possible, like Kim and Ron, which is pretty easy. You don't take up a lot of space, just go with it. That's easy, but like if you have like big, molded 3D printed stuff, you're not going on the convention floor in that, because it will get tore up. Yeah,
and also just if you're not lucky enough to get a downtown hotel, it's just a whole lot to manage, because you can't quickly go take it off. But you've expressed interest in possibly coming back in the future, and when you do, there's other facets that I'd love to show you, because they do a thing called they call it a masquerade ball at Comic-Con, where people actually get a chance to kind of strut their stuff on a stage. I think they have maybe 30 or 60 seconds to kind of do kind of a little skit with some music, and then people vote on who their favorites were. And that's really when the really highly talented stuff comes out. People turn their hobby into careers at this masquerade event, but we were just so busy. You just literally can't hit everything.
Well, I forgot that first day we actually went to the Great Debate in the sci-fi panel. That was what our afternoon ended with, and it was Aisha Tyler hosting this great debate with a bunch of comedians. I mean, what was it?
Thomas Lennon,
who was in Reno 911. Yes. Reno 911. Beside him was Felicia Day, and then
3 other people that we didn't really know, but
they were the funniest people there.
Yeah, but they were so funny that while we were doing it, we were just Googling them, and one guy runs a very, very well-known podcast, My Brother and Me, and forgive us for not knowing his name, but go look him up. He was hilarious. Another woman next to him, I looked her up. She's a writer on Broad City, so she was just hilarious. And the other woman, she was a well-known nerd journalist that was animated in the latest Wreck-It Ralph movie.
Yeah, she was one of the Disney princess voices.
She had a cameo. So yeah, just a great panel, and Aisha Tyler was just hilarious. And I don't know if you had gone to panels before at C2E2 with the call and response from the crowd.
We have those, but it's more yay. But they actually gave us thumbs up and thumbs down cards that look like big fans, and we got to take them in there. And so they, kind of like movie fights, they pick these 2 characters, they pick 2 of the panelists, and they go. The funniest thing, and I will never forget this for the rest of my life, is that Han Solo is a middle-aged man living in his car who talks to his dog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, she's really right on that.
Yeah, it's just they just some great insights, and it's just a great panel. I would have forgot about it if Pan, who we were down there with, reminded us that was a thing. Yeah. So great panel. The panels are such a variety. You didn't have the best chance to go check out some of the littler things, because as we'll say here in a moment, you're really, really very busy one of these days. days, but I of course returned to one of my favorite panels, which you got to see a little bit of actually, was Quick Draw, which is a panel just staffed with 3 like basically masters of their craft. Of I would say they're the world's possibly best doodlers, if you will. So they take a prompt, from their moderator of like, what were you doing 50 years ago? Because this year was the 50th anniversary of Comic-Con. So we'll ask them like, draw what you were doing 50 years ago, and it was actually really interesting because usually they just draw something funny, but they actually, all of those people up there were at some of the very first Comic-Cons. They were remarking about how it was just in a little tiny hotel. I think it was called the Cortez or the Cortez, like a small hotel, and one of them was like walking around in a peanut butter costume. So it was interesting to get that angle of how much it's evolved over the years, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, following up with that, I mean, the first day after dinner, we walked up and down the street. We got solicited by prostitutes. It was quite the adventure. We had a drink. I ran into a listener of the show, Victor Dandridge. He was sitting there at a pizza joint. I just looked over. That's also the night we saw Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Comic legend Frank Miller walking out of a restaurant, lighting a cigarette.
Yeah.
I've got a photo of that on my phone. And like, just this whole first day, mind-blowing experience. Now, day 2, no. This is why part of my day 1 was awesome. Day 2 was probably one of the most disheartening days I've ever had in my life.
All right, let's get into it, Chris. Why are you so sunburnt?
Yeah, I'm so sunburnt because I went at 1:30 p.m. to stand in line for the next day, Saturday, Hall H line. They have 5,500 to 6,000 wristbands they give out at 8:45 p.m. At 11:45 p.m., they get to the point not 50 feet in front of me, and they're out. And once they're out of wristbands, you don't get to go in. Now, I did not... Most of the line is actually in the shade. Where they put the line, they had shade and everything. Where I was in line, and I wasn't going to leave my line to go get something, because once you're in line, you don't want to give up that spot. Because 5-10 people can make a difference. Is the middle of a basketball court. Now, if you have never been to a basketball court, you will know there's nothing overhead. So I sit down. I make friends around. We had a really good group of people around me, and I sat there from 1:30 till 11:30 or later p.m. hoping to get in this. Now, there was a line fiasco. At the beginning of this, when they started the Hall H bands, they did not police the line and like who was there. People just ran up, grabbed wristbands, got scanned, and went in. If they hadn't done that, I would have been sitting in Hall H all day Saturday to do everything. However, I did not. My friend Pan, he stood with me for most of the afternoon. Mike went and purchased me an umbrella at some point.
Yeah, we didn't want our boy melting.
So I have it's not severe burn. It looks bad.
Yeah.
But I'm not blistered. I'm not you know, I didn't get heat stroke. I'm not sick from the sunburn poisoning. It just, where it is on my legs is very painful right now.
He did it for you guys. He was out there in the sun. He was trying to get into Hall H. I mean, one thing that I can remark on that you brought up is you made friends on that basketball court. And I think that's one of the best things about the con is everybody there is pretty much there for the same reason of just wanting to geek out about something that they love, which makes it incredibly easy just to talk to people. You don't need any sort of segue. You don't need any sort of like meet cute, if you will, of like somebody like dropped their wallet and you picked it up and gave it to them. Just like you can just both be staring at like the same thing of like a billboard or an ad for like Stumptown where Kobe Smulders has looks like her neck's being snapped, and you start talking to a random stranger about it and you start making like cowbell jokes. So like it's
just got a free cowbell from that lady and she was overhearing us talk about
I don't know who this lady is. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in her life. So that's honestly one of the best things about the convention is if you just put yourself out there, it's just so easy to talk to people over there. Everybody there is very nice, but everybody there is also vying to get into Hall H, which Chris unfortunately wasn't able to get into. But I still feel like we had good memories, even though you weren't able to get in there.
So day 1's great. Day 2, I wanted to get some merch, and the problem with San Diego that I don't have at C2E2 is that merchandise is literally, if you're not there 30 minutes before it opens or more, you don't get it. It's gone.
Or if you don't win the lottery, which takes place 2 weeks earlier to get something like a Funko, you're not getting in there either.
If you come to buy things other than artwork or comics, you're done.
Yeah.
You're not getting any of it. And I learned that the hard way, but I'm not a merch guy myself. C2E is not about the merch. We don't have that kind of thing there. So, you know, that's new to me, like to have that disappointment on top of this. But I did, however, get a Master Shake ceramic cup.
Yes.
My biggest get here, and my other thing is actually our buddy Pan, who I mean, other than you and Quentin, Mike, like he came through very good for us this weekend. He was able to get me the Transformers card game from Hasbro because he got in the lottery for that. So I was able to get the really two things that I wouldn't get anywhere else. But I had to wait an hour for Master Shake, and then immediately from there, I went to the I didn't say it's the Iron Man VR.
Yeah.
So I would have been in line much longer if I didn't go to the Iron Man VR, which was at 1 to 1:15.
So was the Iron Man VR experience worth potentially not getting in the Hall H? And I think I know the answer already.
It's half and half, but it's fine because I'm gonna get to. So by the time 10 hours in the Hall H was done, I got back to the hotel room. You guys looked at me and just laughed and laughed and laughed.
The best part is we were already back at the hotel, kind of getting ready to call it a night. So I had my contacts out, I didn't have my glasses on, and I just see this blob of Chris walk in. And I could already tell everything that I needed to know about him just from the blurry shades that I was seeing. Like, I think there was a moment where you peeled up your shorts, and then I didn't even have to squint to see the definitive line of where your shorts ended.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, and it was disheartening. And me and Pan, we kind of like, all right, whatever. And then, I was so hot and tired, I didn't eat for like probably 24 hours in those little bars. So that doesn't push you. So by the time I get back, I sit in bed. I'm like, Mike, after much consideration, I've decided not to endorse your con. It was just one of those days. However, Saturday, I feel really redeemed itself.
Yes, you rallied.
We went I slept in a little bit. You guys went to get in line for a taping of Conan, which we'll talk about later.
And you selflessly gave your spot up in that line to a friend that I made that you potentially may have already known, but you didn't remember, Jackie. So Chris, even when he was down and out and really needed a win, he still gave up his seat to go see Conan at Comic-Con. So a selfless man over here on the other side of the table.
Because it wasn't her fault I didn't get the tickets. So it's more power to that. Paying it forward, and it came back. Those good vibes came back to me that day. So I woke up when Quentin left to go get in line, and I was able to shower and take care of myself.
You took a cold bath, I think you said.
Well, that was later. I came back later in the day and took a poured ice cold bath and get down in. So I get back in there. I buy the last bottle of aloe vera at a grocery store.
Probably in the whole city.
Yeah, at the farthest grocery store. I went to the farthest one on accident. I come back. I meet one of my friends from college. We walk around with her friends a little bit. Downtown. I eat a Deadpool taco and then a Pokeball taco. Deadpool taco bit me in the ass later.
Literally, I believe.
Yeah, it did. And then what do we do? There was something else. I think I went back to the conference when we did the drawing thing together. I left for that. Then I hung out with Pam. Me and Pam walked the floor again, just kind of checking things out. I was taking my time, getting some stuff here, getting some stuff there.
There's a learning curve to a con of this size, because even though Chris understands kind of how these things run from other cons, it still takes a while to kind of get your San Diego Comic-Con legs, if you will.
Yeah, had I not done Friday like I did, I would have done a lot more, maybe spent a lot more. I don't know. So you go to Conan, you go to your filming Conan, how was that?
I mean, I had seen Conan OBrien before because I live out here in Los Angeles and I could go see a taping of his show whenever I want. And when it's recorded in a proper studio, it's actually really great, properly air conditioned. When we were there, we actually had front row seats. And there's a warm-up comedian that comes out that's really funny. I forget his name, but he's pretty well known in the comedy scene. And he just gets the crowd all warmed up and everything. This is a little bit more makeshift. He's in the Spreckles Theater, I believe it's called, and I don't know if their air conditioning wasn't working or maybe it never works. And so there's a bunch of really loud and just very excited geeks all jumping up and down. There's an MC inside the theater that's warming up the crowd. He's literally plucking people from the audience before the show starts, and he's having them doing booty dance contests on the stage for the possibility of winning a t-shirt, but what they didn't know is they're all gonna get a t-shirt anyway, which was funny. So it's getting very warm in there. We're fanning ourselves like Southern Belles, whew, I got the vapors. So it was fun and cool. If you had never seen a taping of a TV show or even Conan, you probably had a better experience maybe than I did, but it was still great because everybody got pop vinyls.
Yes,
Conan pop. So Saturday night, the last night of the con, it was Conan O'Brien as Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah. So what they do is they take Conan's head and put it on the body of another pre-existing pop vinyl.
He has a very iconic head with the orange hair, so it's really easy to attach him to other characters.
So, and then as soon as you got out of that, I literally walked off of my Uber ride. I went to the hotel, cooled myself down, came back. We went to this place called Sushi 2, and this was exactly at 5:30, and we get and sat down, and then it's, Mike's wife, Quentin, me, Pan, Trisha, and Jack.
Pretty much the whole squad.
We're eating sushi, we're taking sake bombs, we're just having a good time, tearing it up, just having fun, and then the Marvel panel starts.
Yeah, and I feel like before we even start ordering drinks, we are just refreshing Twitter because we are just following the hashtag, seeing it all come out. And I would say, I mean, obviously, it would have been great if you were there. It would have been a very memorable experience. But I thought it was all cool that we were just at this table experiencing it all at once.
So redeeming. It was so redeeming because it's great to be surrounded by. It's good for us to talk once a week or via text. But the hype there is contagious. It was so fun because we're all doing Twitter at different times. We're all seeing different things. Is this fake? Is this real?
Yeah, all turning our phones like, look at my phone. Look at this thing that I saw.
Is this real? Is this not real? People. Like I said, Trish and Jennifer, like they were in cosplay. They weren't going to pull out their phones, so they were like. Everyone was feeding into
and they're like, wait, what's happening? And at this moment, I think we both realized, even being around a group of nerds, we were already so far ahead of everybody else. Like, somebody saying, like, whoa, they're making like an Eternals movie. It's like, yeah, man, they said they were doing that a while ago, but we realized we're kind of on a different level making this show where, so it was kind of fun to see that happen. We hardly ever get to react to news live right in front of each other. Normally, this would have been a group chat situation where the group chat would have been lit up and we just would have been texting like memes and emojis. But it was great, and of course here in a little bit we're going to talk about all of the craziness that happened there. But I'm really glad that things started to turn around for you.
And the only reason it turned around, I mean, the only reason I didn't hate Friday completely, the people. The reason that made Saturday so much better was the people, and that is, I cannot say that enough. There, had it not been for everyone in that moment, it would have been different. And after that, I think we went straight home after that.
Yeah, we went back to the hotel because, I mean, like as we've said, the scale of this con is large. And luckily, this was the first year that San Diego had these electric rentable scooters, which definitely helps you get off your feet because there's activations and there's panels all across downtown, not just at the convention center. So sometimes you got to get to walking. And all of these last years, like we have just been walking all around downtown, but with these inventions of these new scooters, you could really zip around and it was really awesome. But even with those, like, your feet are just exhausted. You're so tired, and even though it's Saturday night and you're in downtown San Diego and like everybody's just having a great time, like you're just like, I guess, guy, I gotta go back to the hotel. My legs, they're failing me. I want what do they say? Like the soul is willing, but the body is weak and helpless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I had the sunburn issue on my legs. I'm walking around sometimes like Frankenstein or Lurch, like this stiff legged, and I walked more Thursday than I did any other day before.
I mean, all you gotta do is open up your phone's health app, and you can see literally how much you're doing.
And it was tracking me. So we went back, and then you and your wife decided to call an evening.
Yeah, we fell asleep in the middle of watching Goonies in the hotel.
Yeah. So me and Quentin went out to celebrate Tyler's birthday with Pay and Trisha and Jackie and Tyler. So we actually got to see a live band and just kind of hang out in actual San Diego.
And you got some merch out of that situation.
I did. Tyler's birthday cake topper was the foam infinity gauntlet, and he was like, "I'm not taking this one. Like, I don't want it." And he was like, "Here, you have it. Like, you're the guy."
And that's when we wake up in the morning, and Chris is like, "Well, look what I got," and I was like, "Is that frosting?"
Yeah, it was literally on the cake. So. We had a good night, and me and Quinn, we were dancing, and then on the Uber ride back, if anyone knows me, I get car sick really easy. On the Uber ride back, this guy's like whipping around late at night, and I'm just like, oh god, because those late night Uber drivers are not the safest. So we get back to the hotel, and Quentin's getting ready for bed. I'm like, I am car sick. I'm either gonna go to the bathroom or I'm gonna go outside, and then that's when I woke up Mike and his wife, and they thought I was drunk from partying too hard, but Just a little car sick.
You had to get rid of that Deadpool taco.
That Deadpool taco was spicy as hell. Like, I don't know what they were thinking making that. So it was out of my system.
But I thought it was pretty funny because really, if you think about it, if Deadpool was to make a taco, that's the scenario he would want out of it because he's a wild card.
Exactly.
But we just kept. It was just so funny because things just kept happening to Chris, and it's just like it's almost like he was fighting the con, and the con was fighting him back. So it was all very funny. So we were having a great time, and I think we capped off the whole weekend with a pretty great breakfast with
the Waffle King's house, and I think it's just called the King's house, and there's a waffle joint on one side and the Mexican joint on the other,
and there's a hotel above it, which is bizarre.
and there's this guy dressed up as this Waffle King following me around, like behind me every turn, for some reason.
And they Game of Thronesified the whole place because we went last year, so now technically it's a tradition. We've gone 2 years in a row. We're going to be going back to the Waffle Man's Kingdom every year now. But last year it wasn't themed, so they leaned into Comic-Con even more this year to where the waffle guy was kind of dressed kind of Jon Snow-esque. He had a crown that was made of like forks and spoons and stuff.
The knife crown.
And they had like a throne inside of their lobby that you could like sit down and take pictures of. It was great.
Well, and then even they have all these cartoon drawn little like food items, and I ended up that's the only shirt I bought this year was the shirt at the Waffle King's house because it has I'm calling it the waffle connected universe.
Yeah, the waffle. Yeah, it was just it was just a great way to kind of cap off the weekend. So I guess Chris, if you had to rank it, like 0 being the worst con you've ever been to, and like 10 just being something very memorable.
I mean, it's definitely very memorable, but like I don't have to go back next year. I can take a couple years off and come out and enjoy it more with that mentality in mind. But there's like ones like I will go to C2E2 every year. I will go to Galaxy Con.
Well, yeah, it's just the pure distance. You had to take 3 different planes to get out here. Then on top of that, we had to drive down to San Diego. But you found out if you just would have flown from Texas, if Chris would have just flown from Texas straight to San Diego, there was some crazy promotion going on that.
Everyone won a free Nintendo Switch on that plane that left behind me going to San Diego when I was going to LA.
Yeah, it was just we think that it's just isolated to San Diego, but the promotions around this one con stretches all the way to neighboring states on airlines.
And that's when Comic-Con started fighting me. It was right out of the gate. So we did it. We lived. It's a very good time. Again, I'd recommend it, but come prepared. If you can't afford it every year, do not feel bad.
Well, the thing is, we're just going to put you on the Marvel schedule because as we've kind of seen in the past couple years, Marvel seems to be kind of on and off. So next year, probably DC is going to show up. Maybe take that year off. You don't necessarily come out. Then Marvel will come back, and then you'll come back.
Yeah. So exactly, we'll be on the Marvel schedule because, as you know, at this convention, now we're going to get into the news, Mike. Unless there's anything else you want to say.
You know what? Stay tuned next week, and I'll tell you how I made like $300 at the con that I wasn't expecting. But we won't take too much up your time with that. I wasn't expecting to be hustling out there on the floor. So this is your incentive to make sure you're subscribed.
Yes.
Well, also before we get into the news, shout out to any new listeners that we have. We came prepared to market ourselves and our podcast. We brought
premium vinyl stickers.
Yeah, we brought premium vinyl stickers. I believe they were technically 3-inch stickers if I remember the order that we made. And I also put together a comic book that I call Little Feige. And if you go check out my Instagram account, you can read that over there. A very tailor-made comic to the convention.
And we spent the majority of Wednesday before the convention printing these and folding these in the apartment.
Yeah, 300. So it was 311 by 17 pieces of paper that needed to be folded three times. Three times. And the more you start folding the paper, the harder it gets to fold. So like it was an onslaught of folding, and then we had these giant bundles. But it was pretty fun handing these things out, getting to meet new people. Some people are receptive to free stuff being handed to them. Some people are just like, whoa, what are you doing? It's like, no, we're just cool people trying to give you free stuff. So shout out to anybody out there who really appreciated the gift. And if you're listening now, buckle up for your new favorite podcast, because if you are at Comic-Con, this is the quality content that you can stay tuned to, because it's Comic-Con every week here, baby. Yeah. We talk about this stuff all the time.
And again, this is a very rare opportunity where we're face-to-face. We don't normally go 45 minutes into this talking just about a convention.
Yeah, this was the longest riff-raff section we've ever done.
Yeah, it's actually got its own bullet point. But we're going to get into the news, which is going to take probably just as long, if not longer, because we got some news.
I think I'll go back and set the scene before we jump into this. So, like we said, we were eating dinner at a sushi restaurant.
No far apart than we are now.
Yeah, and we were just getting beers because we were lucky enough to get in there 5 minutes before the happy hour was over. So we were getting beers, doing sake bombs, and then we were just like, it's 5:30. It's time to open up Twitter, and boy, does the tweets never end when Marvel's doing a San Diego Comic-Con panel. Like, if you're familiar on Twitter, like the normal timeline, you drag down the reload. And if it's been a couple minutes, maybe you got a couple new tweets. The hashtag of Marvel SDCC was lit. I could have scrolled down as fast as possible, and there was 20, 30, 40 new tweets literally every second. So it was crazy getting this onslaught of news coming out of the floor, and we were just all experiencing at the same time. And I don't think we were prepared for the level of announcements that we were about to get.
The worst part about it is also Twitter. People were literally hashtagging fake articles and fake things. So half of our battle was just like, is this real?
Yeah. Like, this doesn't
double check it. Somebody double check it.
Well, analyzing the lighting of the room, because usually these panels are pretty dark, but the Hall H one was pretty well lit, I would say. So if you were taking a picture of the screen from your phone, there was more light around the screen. It was like, no, this one looks too dark. This has got to be fake. It's more well lit in Hall H from what we can tell right now. So it was like live CSI.
Yeah, and a lot of Spanish tweets.
I think it's because we were so close to Mexico down in San Diego. So we had the Mexican publications chiming in. We had the English publications. So we were decoding different languages, trying to figure out what was going on.
And we were all on the same hashtag, but everyone was a different spot in the feed.
Yeah.
Because Quentin was 5 minutes behind us every time he said something. But that's fine with that.
My thumb wouldn't stop. I realized, while the drinks were coming, I was like, my thumb hasn't stopped moving for 10 minutes.
So it's very good. So we have some Marvel Studios news.
Ooh, boy, do we.
And the first thing they dropped, conveniently timed, is Avengers Endgame officially has passed Avatar for the box office for the highest grossing film ever.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was coming, but it does seem a little convenient on the biggest weekend probably for them of the entire year of announcements. It could have been really good timing. I think you threw out the idea that maybe they were just buying tickets on their own.
Last week they were $6 million away. They could have easily bought $6 million. Like $6 million for this budget. Hell yeah, we made $2-something billion. We can throw some back at it. But I mean, the timing's great. Congratulations. What does this mean? They get to put a sticker on the box when it comes out.
I mean, it doesn't really mean anything really when you think about it too much, because if you adjust it for inflation, Gone with the Wind beats them all by a mile, but also Gone with the Wind, less competition at the movies. That was the only thing people could really go see anyway. And then if you maybe adjust it a little differently and you go by tickets sold, that's a totally different metric, but then also tickets sold also goes with the competition at the theater, and if tickets are cheaper or if something's been in the theater longer. Like, we know Gone with the Wind's been released a lot, so it could just sell more tickets over time. So there's really no perfect metric to measure success of a movie, but
at this moment in time, it is the highest box office ever.
Yeah, unadjusted, but you can't take that away from them. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the benchmark. That's the goal. That's the benchmark that people are making. So this is fun that we got a battle here. We know Avatar is going to be re-released at some point in time when they announce the other movies, but as we say every week, it's all Disney anyway. So there's really not much of a fight going on here.
And everybody wins or everybody loses. I can't tell which one it is yet. But yeah, so yeah, if you go check out Worldwide on Box Office Mojo where we get it, it's now up there. So congratulations to them. However, that's not the news.
No.
The news comes right now because they gave us what Kevin Feige is calling the Phase 4 lineup, and there are 10 properties in 2 years.
Yeah, what they're calling Phase 4. Now, I believe we're going to be hitting these up in release order of the film. This is not how we experienced it at the dinner table. Things were coming in a different order. We were reacting to it a different way. And
this was the second to last announcement. However, our first closest Marvel property, surprise, is Black Widow.
Yep.
And we have the logos for all these in our show notes. You can go click on. You can click on the show notes. You get to see the logo because they gave us all these on their Marvel's Instagram. You've all seen. If you're listening to us and you follow Comic, you've probably seen these.
Yeah.
There's no surprise. It coming out in May of 2020 is Black Widow, and it will take place after Civil War, but before Infinity War. So that nice nebulous period where Natasha was in the quote-unquote Secret Avengers with Steve Rogers, avoiding. Well, she technically ran away from the Tony Stark at the Avengers thing after she knew that she tased War Machine, and that was, or not War Machine, whoever it was, but and ran away. But we got our first concept art of supposedly again confirming Natasha and Taskmaster. This looks better than the live photos we saw. I will tell you that. I hope you agree with that. The other one, I get it. This one looks more like a Taskmaster with the hood and the shield.
It's definitely MCU kind of armor look. MCU has an art direction that they tend to stick to. He almost looks like he's wearing skiing goggles, so I don't really know how much to take from this. I'm actually not the biggest fan of this image right here. I think the aerial kind of like sneaky shots that we got from set a couple weeks ago sells him a little bit better, because practically he's probably not going to be wearing the hood, that often. So we'll see how that goes. But Taskmaster now confirmed, and also I guess squashing any rumors, but I guess never say never, that this isn't Natasha's not coming back to life. It looks like This isn't going to be something where they get her out of the Soul Stone and then she's just going right back to work and fighting Taskmaster. Because like if I died and then somebody brought me back to life, maybe it's time to retire. Maybe you don't need to be fighting people anymore. So we're going to be exploring this kind of, like you said, this gap in the timeline. Yeah,
so we've definitely got that. They showed some footage of this. We don't have it yet. The descriptions are kind of right now, so we're gonna maybe come back to next week.
Well, I mean, this was the one thing. I mean, I guess it turned out well. This is the one thing that I think you really wanted to be in there for Hall H for, because you wanted to see the exclusive footage. But really, there wasn't a whole lot of exclusive going on here, especially with the pace at which this news was coming out. Just by checking Twitter, like you have to take time to show a clip.
Yeah.
And they just didn't even have the time to literally do that. So. Luckily you didn't miss much. You pretty much got to see what everyone else got to see. So who knows what could have possibly been in the clip, but it's not like missing the first Infinity War clip that kind of came out at Comic-Con and people were just doing their live descriptions of what they were seeing. So not too much loss there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's if this is the only footage I missed, that's fine. We got to all experience it together. They did confirm David Harbour is playing Alexei, ironically. A character's name in Stranger Things Season 3 that he worked with, who is known as Red Guardian, which is essentially Russia's Captain America kind of thing. So it looks like Taskmaster might be maybe the successor to this Red Guardian.
I guess I'm not familiar with Red Guardian, but is he ripped and buff like Steve Rogers? Because, I mean, no offense to David Harbour, but I think he's kind of iconic for his dad bod.
Well, normally he just looks like Captain America, but Russian. But like he's not playing like a current iteration of Red Guardian. Like Taskmaster could be the current Russian's Red Guardian.
I guess they could take this unique.
And he's an older guy.
Could take this unique take where Steve Rogers had the advantage of being frozen in ice and then he was unthawed. This could be the Red Guardian in Russia could be possibly a mantle. So maybe this is a retired.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So, but there's also been several Red Guardians. We don't know which one it's going to be. We got a lot of questions, but we're going to probably be seeing some footage next several months. September probably. Maybe D23 we'll get some.
Yeah.
That's coming up around the corner. An actress, Rachel Weisz, is added to the movie. I think they said her name was Melina, which means she's probably related to the Black Widow program. Maybe a mentor to that. Something to do with it. I don't know. But so we got a little bit of information about it. Not as much kind of new groundbreaking stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot really to come out of a Black Widow movie, right? Because if it's being slotted almost kind of like a prequel, we're probably not going to have any huge revelations. And if we get those, they're going to be in the movie. They're not really going to announce that. So
exactly.
We already knew David Harbour was going to be in there. I guess Taskmaster was really the reveal, but but they couldn't squash that telephoto lens up in the bushes or wherever that guy was. Yeah. So
and honestly, that doesn't look anything like the concept art either. So like, I want to see the shield. I want to see the real Taskmaster. So, Black Widow releasing May of next year, our first movie next year. And the next property we get to see after Black Widow is actually Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus show. Looks like they're stacking that up to come out next fall. Chris Evans was there. I think Chris Evans, maybe Kevin Feige. Someone handed over the shield to Anthony Mackie on stage, and we have a photo of him receiving that shield on stage. But that's cool and all. He's apparently tried on his suit already as Captain America, so it sounds like they may be going with the newer Sam Wilson Captain America suit from the comic books. But I think one of the coolest things here is that Daniel Bruhl will be returning to play Baron Zemo, or just Zemo. And he had a pre-recorded video where he put on the purple mask that Zemo's known for in the middle of the film.
So I know you were looking for that, and we didn't get a chance to find it. I'm curious if it was like a production mask or just maybe kind of like a Halloween mask, just signifying like, oh, the Zemo that you kind of know is coming out of this. But I think one big takeaway out of this is the last time we saw an announcement of this caliber of scale and scope happening was like that random weekday in Hollywood years ago where Feige walked up on stage and had that big timeline
It was
there.
pre-Civil War.
Yeah, and we got to see all of these like fancy logos. This is the first time where they are officially considering basically a TV show part of these phases, which now we thought the Daredevil and Netflix shows were part of the MCU. And, you know, I don't know exactly what the language and PR was back when those were announced, but everyone kind of thought they were going to be tangentially related, but they didn't need to address it exactly. You know, they talked about the Battle of New York. They talk about these things in the Netflix show, but, you know, Marvel TV and Marvel movies proper, you know, they conflict a little bit. So now these things are officially out, technically canon, I guess, if you want to say.
So the way it worked before is the shows react to the movies before. Now all the shows being under Marvel Studios and not Marvel Television can react and interact together. Meaning these shows are planned out in time with the release of the movies. And we're going to talk about two of them that have the same person in them later. So they will have, like Kevin Feige and his team, they know what they're doing. They're drawing those lines together now. So all these swivels back and forth between television movies will be more interconnected and reactionary to each other, rather than one saying, oh, this happened in the movies, we acknowledge it, but they don't have to acknowledge, oh, Daredevil exists.
Yeah, and boy, would I be kind of like shaking in my boots if I was Netflix or if I was HBO Max. I mean, come on, how can you possibly compete with $8 a month and getting all of this premium content? I mean, we're going to be talking about some other streaming shows that showed up at Comic-Con this week, but I mean, this is primo stuff here. The way that they're treating it, they're not even treating it like a TV show. They're treating it almost like we're making a long movie and kind of chopping it up, and we're going to put it on Disney Plus for you. So I think it's great that all of this stuff is being treated in the same aspect of these films. I mean, a Hall H like trot out of the actors of these streaming shows, that's a big deal. Hall H is like one of the most premium places where you can debut stuff. So, and it's Kevin Feige. It's not cranky old Jeff Loeb over there trotting out Anthony Mackie. It's the Kevin Feige and all of his amazing hats. Which one thing that we didn't mention when they announced Black Widow, all like 6,000 people in the audience all got Black Widow hats. So everybody, that's Kevin Feige's. That's really his ultimate move. He doesn't want to be planning all of these MCU movies. This is just his backdoor plan to get as many ball caps out there in the world as possible.
That's his retirement plan. He's going to open up a hat shop.
Oh my God, he's just going to buy lids. He's so rich right now. He's just going to buy out the corporation of lids. He's going to change the name to Feige's, and we're just going to call hats Feige's. Just like in 30 years, we're just going to call all movies Disney's.
He's going to call it caps.
Caps,
because they're ball caps. And
there you go.
It's Captain America. See. So, but yeah. So this is big news for that. Again, Falcon Winter Soldier will be on Disney Plus. Everyone's going to be buying Disney Plus. There's a logo reveal, not too exciting, but actually the logo is different from that little thumbnail we saw when the Disney Plus service was announced. And a lot of these can change. A lot of these can and will change. So you can click on that in there. So that's cool for Falcon Winter Soldier. We've talked about that pretty frequently. The next thing they announced, we've talked about before, we've speculated, but now we have official confirmation, is The Eternals.
Yes.
November 2020. We have the cast right here. A photo of all the cast, including Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Lauren Ridloff, Brian Tyree Henry, Salma Hayek, Leah McHugh, and Don Lee. And all of these people are playing Eternals characters, and we have them in here. I'm not going to give you the names because you won't know them. Nobody knows them. But I tell you what, these issues are going to come real popular real soon. And the quote from Kevin Feige about these are, the Eternals are a race of immortal aliens, about 35,000 years old, sent to Earth by the Celestials, which we've seen in Guardians of the Galaxy, to protect humankind from the deviants, such as Thanos, Skrulls, etc.
Yeah, the way Chris explained it to me, these deviants are the characters with like the chin ridges.
Yes.
So Thanos and the Skrulls, they got those nasty chins going on there. So the first thing that popped into my head is how long have these Eternals been around Earth? You said that they're old. They seem to be very
35,000 years. I think.
Yeah, that I say that's pretty old for any fictional character out there. So it makes me wonder, how long have they been on Earth? Have they been on Earth this whole time? And if they've been sent here to kind of protect us, where were they when Thanos came to mess everything up? That it seems like that's would have been their job, right?
Well, my assumption is that this is going to be a history lesson for this. But also, anything in the Avengers and the Infinity War Endgame happened instantly. Like Thanos just literally, the army came, attacked in like an hour, and then Thanos showed up and wiped out half the Earth.
So they didn't have time to prepare. Maybe they were just busy. They were making a roast, and they just didn't have their TV on, their phones on.
Yeah, and honestly, they all have the same powers, but they all like specialize in like one thing. Like one of them, they all can run really fast, but one of them runs the fastest of all of them and stuff. Like one's really strong, but one's the strongest of all. And they're playing such characters. Like most of these characters have become into the human like god pantheons. Like again, we're looking at like. Again, Don Lee playing Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is known to be one of the Hindu gods, so he played that role. Icarus kind of looks like a Hercules kind of thing.
So what you're saying is like kind of like how Thor in the movies was kind of seen like, oh, everybody thought he was fake, so they made stories about him, but actually he was real. So maybe this is the same type of scenario where these guys have been on Earth for a while. Yeah. Because I had this idea that I thought was kind of cool, but maybe it doesn't mesh with this, whereas like these guys are responding to what just happened. Like you said, everything happened in an instant. Yeah. They got a call on their bat phone. And they're just like, oh, shit, we got to get over to Earth. Things have gotten crazy. We shouldn't have taken that nap. Yeah. Things just got really crazy over there on Earth. But who knows where they're going to take it. I was grilling Chris on his Eternals knowledge. And he has a couple volumes that he's read already. But he's like, crap, this sounds like a volume I haven't actually read yet. So it sounds like there's a lot to pull from here. But we got some celestial concept art that actually is really cool.
Yeah, so they're dropping some concept art on us here. And the celestials we've seen... in what was it, the Collector in his vision,
the first Guardians
Esau the Searcher
movie.
had the Power Stone, and then technically Nowhere is a celestial severed head, and then Ego, I think he said he was a celestial as well. Star-Lord's dad. And these are the big ones. They're walking across mountains down there, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, this is on the Earth. They're huge. They're very sci-fi and techie at the same time.
Yeah, they kind of have a little bit of an organic look to them, but also mechanical. I think they kind of are reminiscent, I would say, of obviously the Celestial that you saw in the flashback. But if you don't remember that, I kind of get the Destroyer vibe a little bit from the first Thor movie.
I'm thinking the Sentinels from Days of Future Past. A little bit from that one here in the front.
Yeah. I like the dude on the far right. He looks kind of like a big brute with the yellow glowing eyes. So I'm just trying to think, like, do these guys still exist? Where are they? Is somebody going to try to fight them? Are we going to get...
So they're not on Earth. They're out in space.
Well, they could make it to Earth, because, Chris, I don't know if you knew this, but Earth is in space.
It is, but like they're out. Like normally the Celestials are out dealing with other things, like large. They don't care about single planets. But there is a recent comic book that came out where there's a celestial egg in the Earth, and there's like some evil's trying to awaken a celestial that's meant to.
That sounds like a Unicron.
Kind of.
This is a Unicron situation.
That could be an Avengers level thing that brings them to Earth if there's an incubating celestial in the planet.
I feel like this is just going to be a great opportunity to eventually back us into a Galactus at some point in time, because I don't know the scale of Galactus really. I don't know if it's been consistent over the years of Marvel Comics. I don't know if he has the power to shrink to whatever is convenient for the big screen. But if we're getting the idea of these big creatures, I could see like a Galactus coming in at this point in time. We're really telling gigantic space stories here now.
Yeah. Well, and Galactus has been known to kill some Celestials, so maybe his goal is to kill the Celestials.
Can you imagine that happening on screen in your local theater? Galactus fighting a Celestial it's like, I don't know if you've ever got around to watching Gurren Lagann, but if you're out there, if you're familiar with it, you get these awesome scale battles. Like, we thought the scale of Pacific Rim was large when Guillermo del Toro made it, and he did it really, really well. So hopefully they take some hints from him. But I can just imagine watching these lumbering things like fighting on the surface of Earth, like maybe Vormir. That was a pretty cool. Was a pretty cool location that we got to see a couple times. So yeah, this is just really cool. I really like seeing the Celestials. This is something that I wish they would release officially, like in high res, because I want to pour over this a little bit more.
Yeah. So the Eternals is coming. Huge names attached to this. I think honestly we're in for a treat because you know what. We don't know what we're doing with this movie. We don't know anything. They're not going to tell us a whole lot yet, and it's got a little over a year and a half to get here. So, very excited about the Eternals. Now, I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit, Mike.
I was waiting for you, because this was the first thing that happened at the dinner table. You're like, I told you so. I told you. Didn't I say this on the podcast a couple weeks ago?
The next movie, releasing February 2021, is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And who is in charge of the Ten Rings, Mike?
That's the Mandarin.
The Mandarin. And who did I say Shang-Chi should be fighting?
The Mandarin.
The Mandarin. So Kevin Feige took my advice, finally. Listen to this. And we're doing the Shang-Chi movie we've talked about. Simu Lee cast as Shang-Chi. He tweeted at them, I think in 2014, and asked for an Asian American hero to be done. I think he also said they screen tested him on Sunday or Monday and flew him out here for Saturday. He was cast this week.
And he also had another tweet in December where he said, like, hey, Marvel, like, let's talk. So I don't really know how much is going on there. Or, like, if this is advice from his PR group, like, hey, tweet at Marvel, it'll be really fun. Let's see if we can get some groundswell. But if you're not familiar with this guy, I highly recommend everyone go to Netflix as soon as you're done listening to this episode, of course, and go find the show Kim's Convenience. It's this hilarious 30-minute comedy out of Canada. And I tell you, don't be worried because it's Canadian. Canadians make some of the funniest shows out there, and we're lucky enough that Netflix is buying it and putting it out there for a U.S. audience. But he plays a son on Kim's Convenience, and he's really great. I love the whole cast of the show. So it's really cool discovering that show and finding all of these like cast of characters that you just wish the best for, because it's such a fun show. And then all of a sudden he gets catapulted into the freaking stratosphere. I mean, going from a Canadian sitcom basically to the headline character of a Marvel property. And this is like kind of like a glass ceiling kind of shattering moment where this Asian American actor is finally going to be catapulted with like millions of dollars underneath his feet. This is great seeing this much representation out there on the screen. I mean, we were right there with Pan, who's also Asian, and he was totally down for it.
He was very stoked. And this movie, dealing with the Mandarin, has cast Tony Leung as the Mandarin. Do not worry, Ben Kingsley might show up for a minute. They did have, the Hail the King short attached with Thor: The Dark World that kind of says, he wasn't the real Mandarin. There is actually a real Tin
Well,
Rings
I think I caught some Twitter footage where I think they showed a brief moment in that short where there's a gun pointed at the Mandarin's head when he's in prison. So I think they kind of primed the audience a little bit, knowing there's a real Mandarin.
No, they say in the short, actually, the guy who's there I'm taking you to meet the real Mandarin. He's not happy. So they actually cast the real Mandarin. They're using the Tin Ring set up in Iron Man to bring Shang-Chi into this. Normally, he doesn't have any powers. He's just the best martial artist in the world who can take on even Iron Fist with a special fist and does nothing. The Tin Rings all represent a different power. Some, there's a fire one, an ice one, electric rain. They all give him different abilities.
So maybe once he defeats the Mandarin, maybe Shang-Chi gets at least maybe one of these rings, so he can kind of maybe go toe to toe.
Maybe he has one or two of them, and it's like you gotta collect them all.
Yeah, or this could be like a very extreme Lord of the Rings situation where there's 10 rings now. Maybe he decides to destroy 9 of them and keep one from himself or something like that. So this is just really cool. I'm really excited for this. We talked about it a couple weeks on the show how it's going to be cool seeing like a martial arts film.
Yeah.
I mean this is kind of sticking to the Marvel formula where they're trying to be unformulaic, where every movie is different, kind of a different theme, a different genre, and we're getting a martial arts movie. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But not only because I said that should happen.
It's a cool title too, honestly.
Yeah, it works out. right after that, in spring of 2021, we get to check out WandaVision, on Disney Plus, the the Scarlet Witch and the Vision TV show with Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen to return.
Which is news right there, because Paul Bettany comes out on stage, and as we all know, the Vision, for as far as we can tell, is dead. They didn't even allude to him possibly coming back in Endgame. Yeah. I suppose since he is kind of like a robotic based, part of like Infinity Stones, he could exist in some aspects. Maybe he's on one of Tony Stark's hard drives somewhere, and they'll just boot him up into something else.
Now that Black Panther's sister's back, Shuri, who was working on, maybe she was backing him up as she was doing it. Yeah. Maybe you can bring him back to life.
I mean, Chris, you work on computers. What's the first thing you do before you start a big project on a computer, right?
You turn it on. Exactly. So, and then also, but she's also got magic. Maybe she can bring him back to life in the but it's not the way she thought he'd come back to life. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've kept his shell somewhere. I guarantee we will see the lifeless shell.
Yeah, the gray husk of Vision is just like in her like walk-in closet, and she's just like, I should really throw this thing away, but it's a little too sentimental.
Yes, and the other news here, actress Teyonah Parris will play the adult Monica Rambeau. Now, if you remember, that's the daughter of Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel. So she was the little girl who was at the house.
Oh, she's the little girl. Yeah,
because that's the 90s.
Yeah, that's right.
So they will be bringing a movie character into this. What does Monica Rambeau have to do with the Scarlet Witch? I don't know yet.
I think it was a LinkedIn situation. All of these superheroes are, they're obviously all connected on LinkedIn.
People you may know.
Yeah, she was like, oh, okay, she seems pretty cool. I'll go see if she wants to go get coffee, and that's just how this world works. Somehow LinkedIn still exists. I don't know how Thanos did not snap that away.
Yeah, exactly. So that's some pretty big news for that. We don't have a lot of other information on it yet. They're kind of playing these cards close to their chest. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say the prime summer movie spot for 2021 will be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
That is so we said Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings with the cool title. This is the next coolest title, and it's not even the coolest title in my opinion out of this whole lineup. So stay tuned if you've been living on the rock the last 24 hours.
Yeah. So we don't have a lot about this. They brought up Benedict Cumberbatch to show us the logo, but the biggest thing here, since this comes out right after spring, the Scarlet Witch in her television show will be feeding directly into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
And I'm looking forward to this so much because we have these two magic users, and I honestly just want to see them like sit down, like dinner with Dinner with Andre? Is that the title of the movie? Where it's just like two people sitting down at dinner talking. Oh. I just want to see these like two magic users just talk about what it's like to have these magical powers. Like, well, I learned mine from a book. Well, I was experimented on. Oh, isn't it crazy how we can both do magic, but we don't really
honestly knowing both of their personalities, I wouldn't want to see either of them talk to each other.
Well, we know one of them's not gonna have a Russian accent because she magically poofed that away.
Well, it wasn't Russian; it was Eastern European.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But anyway, on that, like this confirms a multiverse. Despite the fact we had the rug pulled out from under us lately. What is madness? What evil lurks in this?
Yeah.
My guess is again Baron Mordo is trying to say no more magic, and it's affecting the Scarlet Witch's powers, which would again maybe that's how her show ends, kicks off right into this movie.
Oh, because that would be great.
Same actress weaving back and forth,
and I believe it was said possibly up there on stage. I think we'll need to fact check this because this came through the crazy Twitter timeline. This might be the first scary movie that Marvel makes.
Yeah, they're again Doctor Strange. The Scott Derrickson has a history in horror film. If they're going to do one called Multiverse of Madness, they're going to need to do horror, and I think they will.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I've been kind of priming myself over the last couple of years to start to appreciate horror and scary movies a little bit more. So, man, I'm totally down for this, and it's great too because my wife admittedly does not like horror movies, so I really hope this is scary. So she finally gets to kind of have to experience this because I mean you can't miss out on a Marvel movie even if it's scary.
Right, and this is the big summer launch. This is May. Like this isn't a November or February slot. This is the May slot, and Doctor Strange got some new powers that we saw in an Endgame and Infinity War. So he's gonna be coming out with the big guns this time. No more learning about magic from the ground up. Another thing we got, kind of just the logo of and the timeline for spring of 2021 after Doctor Strange is the Loki show, who's also a known magic user, by the way. So What does that mean for him?
I mean, it was a little surprising for me because this was the first thing we heard basically when Disney Plus was announced. They're like, hey, Tom Hiddleston's coming, Loki's going to be a show. So I thought this might be the first thing that we see, but it looks like we're going to have to wait basically just a little under 2 years until we get Loki. But I think you kind of came up with the theory that the logo is probably really the only news and the hints that we can get from it.
Yeah, so the logo comes in 4 different fonts, 4 different styles here. The L looks like the L from Thor, not Ragnarok, but another Thor movie, the Dark World maybe. The O kind of looks like a Doctor Strangey font. The K is definitely a 70s style font, which we saw that concept art from him in the 70s. And I have no idea what the I is, but that's Loki's colored green. So what does this mean? I don't know. Will it be probably him jumping, or not jumping, but like different points in Earth's history and him shaping those? Probably with this logo. But that's really all we have. And Tom Hiddleston was on stage, but this is all we got to kind of go with.
I mean, that's not news. The last time he was there, he did a whole monologue, so really he got to relax on stage this weekend.
Yeah, they were up there and they were gone. Like, by the time this was done, like, people was moving so fast.
People was moving, Chris says. People was moving.
Yep. And then later, that summer, Mike, we get our first Marvel Studios animated television show called What If.
I'm so excited for this.
And are you familiar with the What If comic books?
Yes, What If is basically just like anything that your friends might be talking about, like, what if Captain America, got to fight Superman, but obviously they're keeping it all within the realm of Marvel.
Example, one of the ones, what if Peggy Carter became Captain America?
That is a confirmed episode.
But this will be told from the perspective of the Watcher. Uatu is the Watcher of the Marvel Universe. He watches events and records them. He can't interfere, but every time you see him, he's going to interfere. Like, it's one of those kind of things. And he'll be voiced by Westworld actor, Hunger Games actor, Jeffrey Wright.
He has a good voice, too. He'll be a great Watcher.
He will be. So does this mean if they ever do a CG Watcher, they're just going to use Jeffrey Wright into that as well?
Well, I mean, it makes sense because we got a whole other bullet point which pretty much might confirm that theory.
Yes, every actor who has been in the MCU that will be represented in the show will have that actor do the voice as well.
And that's really huge news right there because, I mean, I'm a big fan of animation. Chris and I both love these animated superhero shows, and this is just goes to show you the official sign of buy-in for an animated property. Most of the time, people think of animated stuff for kids. Let's make it cheap because we just want to sell the toys. We're only going to hire a couple voice actors because they can do 5 or 6 different voices. We don't have to worry about paying somebody really famous that has a really stiff schedule and they can't come in. So I think this goes to show you that this is something that can only be made now because all of these people in the MCU, they love their roles so much, and also they don't want to get on the bad side of maybe one of the mega studio out here. So like, well, if you want me to do an animation voice, even if I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. So I think this is just great that even an animated show makes it up there on Hall H in the middle of all these crazy announcements. So that just gets me really excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what the animation style is going to be like. Are they going to do similar to what they're doing on Disney XD? Are they going to go a little bit more premium with it? And like maybe every What If episode might be a little different animation style, because we've seen different animation anthology series out there. They got Death, Sex, and Robots, I think is what it's called on Netflix. Every episode there's a different animation style, so there's a chance for them to be really creative here. Very much looking forward to this. This is great news.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this right now, looking at this list of voice actors, Michael B. Jordan is Killmonger. We've got Haley Atwell, Chadwick Boseman. Oh, who did I just see here on the top row that I was looking at? I missed it. Josh Brolin as Thanos.
I see Jeff Goldblum down here in the corner.
Jeff Goldblum. Chris Sullivan, who played Taserface. Michael Rooker as Yondu. I mean, you name it. They're in here, man. So I mean, this alone, I don't see Chris Evans and I don't see Robert Downey Jr.
I mean that could just be strictly contractual too.
Yeah.
I mean they're kind of out of the MCU at this point.
So this is just big news all around. Like there's no pushing that one. Do we have anything else for that? No. But I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Even Jerry Renner, who plays Hawkeye, will be doing his own voice. And guess what? Hawkeye gets his own show finally.
Yes, we talked about it maybe a month or so ago, maybe even longer.
Longer than that, yeah. So there's always been a rumor that this Hawkeye was going to get his own show. And like, well, what Hawkeye can you do? And Mike's favorite Hawkeye, and everyone's favorite Hawkeye, is Matt Fraction's Hawkeye one, which introduces not only Kate Bishop, but just has a pizza dog and all these other little fun things in there. And Jeremy Renner actually tweeted the video reveal of the animated logo for Hawkeye coming out in 2021.
I love how no one's supposed to be recording this stuff, and a guy with a flashlight walks by. These are the people that are checking, making sure people don't have phones out there recording. Yeah. And he probably looked as like, oh, this is Jeremy Renner, this is show. I guess if he's recorded, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, so right here, you get to see the whole little thing here with the Kate Bishop reveal. We don't know who it is, we don't know what's going on, but it's taking the Fraction logo, at least, from that point of view.
Yeah, it's just great. I hope Matt Fraction gets a little slice of this because this seems very much is going to be inspired from his writing style and direction. So maybe he at least gets to take a pass on the script or something like that. I think he's been in the mix for show running some of his other comic books that he's written in the past outside of Marvel. So I think they should tap him. They should use that resource if they can.
Yeah. And so there you go. And it'll be coming to Disney Plus as well. So we'll get to see some of that. I think they said that this takes place in between literally the opening sequence of Endgame and Endgame. Like after he loses his family and when they
so we're going to get Sad Hawkeye.
We'll probably get Sad Hawkeye training somebody else to do the bow and arrow while he goes and does the sword stuff.
All right, we'll see. At least we're getting something towards the... That's updated, you know, not in some sort of like pocket timeline.
Yeah, so that's the rumor at least. I don't know. Again, a lot of information. We have to filter through a lot of this to get the real stuff. So
Chris, we're getting close to some of the best news.
I don't know if you noticed, the first big reveal for this next movie came from the animated thing, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But we know Thor 4 was coming. We heard that earlier this week, in the middle of the week. They're like, Thor 4 is coming. And I'm like, well, if it's true, it's going to be announced on Saturday.
Yep.
And guess what? It is. Thor Love and Thunder, November 2021.
What a cool title. And the logo's even cooler.
Yeah, this is pure 80s, right out of the 80s. Written and directed by Taika Waititi, coming back again strong after his Ragnarok debut. And let me tell you what, people were looking at that voice actor panel that was earlier, and they're like, why is Natalie Portman back in Marvel? Well, guess what? Natalie Portman's coming back to Thor, Love and Thunder, and she will appear as Jane Foster Thor, the mighty Thor from the recent Jason Aaron comics run.
You know, let's just hope to God that it seems like they're giving her something to do at least now. They pretty much wrote her out of these movies, and now they're bringing her back. We were kind of guessing maybe they're giving her the Gwyneth Paltrow money, since it looks like she might be out of the MCU now.
Well, honestly, I mean, we talked about this. The first Thor movie's serviceable. Second one, no. So maybe she was a little bummed out about it, but now that, you know, they're kind of putting some of the stuff back in the hands of the creators, they're getting better people to do this. Thor's come into his own. Enough to probably get another trilogy, I would guess. Like that would be cool to see a Waititi trilogy that's like 3, 4, and 5. And you know, Natalie Portman coming in as Jane Foster, that's just huge to see what's going on with her being mighty and how this all comes back together. I don't know. Again, we saw Fat Thor leaving with the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of Endgame. How does this work? I don't know. But guess what? We only have to wait a year or 2.5 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a chance. We were guessing maybe a Beta Ray Bill could pop up in this. Yep. There's still a chance for sure. You always got at least something to reveal in a trailer, but we love seeing Taika come back. I guess this possibly takes him off of Akira. That moves.
It's on the bottom of the notes.
Okay, we're gonna bring that up. Okay.
But so they also brought out what's her face.
Tessa Thompson?
Yes, Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie. So, and she said she was looking for a queen for her kingdom.
Yeah. So we're gonna get some LGBT representation. Very Fortnite, not just a Russo brother talking about going on a date with a dude in Endgame and crying at dinner.
But we have no idea where this will go.
Yeah.
But it looks really fun, and I'm very, very
excited. And it's called Love and Thunder. So if love's in the title, we better see Sif come back. We got to tie up that loose end. We need to bring her back. So maybe I don't know if we're gonna do like a love triangle, tesseract, cube, what's going on here, but I love this idea. And also, just if you go find some of the footage online, the stuff that's actually you can see that they don't care if you record, Taika Waititi just having a good time up there on stage. Go check that out, it's really fun.
The biggest reveal of the night, they do the one more thing. They're like, oh, we got one more thing, and we're like, what is it? What is it? I'm thinking Avengers.
I never guessed. I never saw this. I made a joke tweet earlier in the week that Marvel could announce like a Fantastic Four. They could announce a new Wolverine, and people would still be talking about this Cats trailer. I was just trying to go out there with it. I wasn't expecting this announcement.
Yeah. They're like, one more thing, we're bringing out actor Mahershala Ali. And you're like, oh, that's awesome, Oscar-winning,
Yeah, what's he doing out there?
What, are they doing something with Luke Cage because he was Cottonmouth in the first season of Luke Cage? No. Guy's playing Blade. He's playing the Blade character again. This is just again. What do you do with something like this? I
mean, announcing it in typical Kevin Feige fashion with an embroidered hat. He puts the hat on, and it was kind of a funny moment if you check out the recordings online. He puts the hat on, and then people just in the good seats in the front row can kind of see it, and they're just like, "What's his Blade?" And then you have to kind of wait for the logo reveal officially on the screens, and everybody just loses it. I mean, I didn't see this coming. We didn't know where Blade was. I mean, I have a theory that at one point in time, Blade was on a spreadsheet under the column of television, and we weren't really sure exactly where he would go. Could he go to Hulu, ABC Family, or Freeform, whatever it's called, maybe Netflix if that was still going to be a thing. And then what we hear is Mahershala Ali, after winning his award for Green Book, actually reached out to Disney himself, and then I think when they got the call from him, they're just like, okay, we're just going to head and move his name over to movie because this is great that he wants to be in it. So I'd love to know how that unfolded, and I'm assuming eventually there's going to be lots of questions coming towards Mahershala Ali, but I really want to know how this came together. But man,
what this does is it just proves to my point that the Netflix shows don't matter.
Yeah.
Well, technically, he can play both characters. It doesn't matter. Cottonmouth's dead. It's not like he's a big bad.
Well, also these shows are all canceled now. So
so I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But he is coming in. There's no release date for Blade. He is technically we've mentioned before. Everything before this is considered Phase 4. No Avengers movie to cap off Phase 4 because they're doing 10 properties now rather than just movies. Blaze is more in the Phase 5 territory.
Yeah. And we talked about this at breakfast. This is going to be the shortest running phase. Not content-wise. There's going to be a lot of content in it, but it's only spanning 2 years. So they could be changing things up here now. So instead of doing these longer drawn-out phases with kind of big end caps of Avengers movies, we're going to be getting like these smaller phases. I mean, there's still crazy big stuff to look forward to here. I mean, this Doctor Strange movie, we're going to have 2 like top-tier magic users in here. I think that's going to be a blast.
Well, I also think one of these things is like if they're changing the way they're doing it, they don't have to end every phase with an Avengers movie. Maybe they do phases of 10 properties, and then at the end of 3 phases is Galactus, and they've been building to it subtly the whole time. And then that Avengers movie is Galactus.
Yeah, Secret Galactus just looming out there. Yeah. I was kind of maybe expecting maybe a little bit of a hint to a Silver Surfer, but as Kevin Feige said, he did not have the time. They only had like 90 minutes or less to get all this stuff out there.
And they were pushing, and he came out and he said, hey, this is what we got for Phase 4. We're sorry that we didn't have time to mention. And he listed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, Fantastic Four, and Mutants specifically.
Yeah.
He said them out loud, so if he said them out loud, they're coming.
He's happy because he's like, I can finally legally say this, because I'm sure they've been talking about all these properties for a long time now. Probably, I mean, I think even before they even thought about buying Fox, they were talking about, oh, if there was a way we could get it, it'd be fun to bring them in here. I mean, this is all great news. I mean, we talked a lot about all of the downsides of Disney buying Fox, but for at least this moment in time, when all of these redundant producers are losing their jobs in between these 2 studios, I'm just going to take a brief moment to just bask in these types of announcements. It's just so much fun. What a crazy whirlwind of news just at dinner.
It was, and then like I said, 5 bullet points deep here to get all this information in a way that we could disseminate it to you factually. And James Gunn was not at the convention, but did say that he has to finish Suicide Squad before he can do Guardians 3. So that's why it's out. But that also gives us like 2 years. We can be seeing Mutants or Fantastic Four in 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible because this phase is going to wrap up pretty quickly. I mean, I need Disney Plus even more now than I thought I needed. I mean, there's lots of fun questions that we're going to be talking about over. I mean, we joked after the panel was over. The Superhero Slate podcast officially renewed for another season because this is nothing but stuff to talk about for years and years here. I'm really curious what's going to happen in Blade because the Marvel Cinematic Universe we've dealt with aliens, we've dealt with multiverses, or we're going to be dealing with them here shortly. We've been really ingrained in science and magic. but we haven't got creatures yet. We haven't got like unexplained monsters and vampires. So I'm looking forward to see how they weave this into the movie. So is this going to be something that's always been happening? Blade's always been out there fighting. Is this something he's going to have to pick up a mantle now because these monsters are starting to come out of the woodwork? I'm really interested to see what's going on here because we all know Hellboy didn't do it right earlier this year. So maybe we got a better chance for a more established universe to bring in our creature features.
Well, Blade is half vampire, so vampires have to existed before he was born.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, also, what if maybe they're just not in America yet? Maybe he's off in Europe, Transylvania, like really.
I mean, that makes sense. Transylvania, I guess that makes sense,
because
right?
America is only focused literally on New York or San Diego, San Francisco area. Like, there's no overlap in the middle of the country, and there's no overlap in any other country.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could explain it like America relatively as a newer country, and these monsters could have taken root in older cities.
What, True Blood takes place in Georgia or somewhere like that?
Sure, I've never seen it, but sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's like in a place where Marvel's never focused their characters. So maybe Blade is fighting these vampires in the backwoods.
Maybe he's just doing a really good job, and that's why we haven't heard about it. He's just really solid at killing vampires. Yeah. He's making sure it's not a problem for people out there.
But really, like this slate of properties, mind blowing.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when Blade showed up in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon? I'm looking forward to that happening in real life.
Yeah. So I mean, we talked about a lot of this stuff, but still surprises, left and right surprises. Thor 4 before that, we wanted it to happen. We didn't know if it would happen, but I can't believe that leaked in Blade. It's been a good weekend.
Yes.
But that's not the only thing. There are other shows here. There are other things here.
Surprisingly, other things happened at this comic book convention.
In these panels. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a big panel. I didn't get to go to. We could have stayed, but we went to see Brain Games instead.
That panel thing.
Yeah, so we could have stayed in Marvel saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they announced Season 7. Next year will be the last season of the show with a shorter batch of episodes.
Yeah, I think there was speculation out there that the show could be wrapping. We know they had these 2 shorter seasons. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Obviously, Marvel's taking this route of putting stuff on their streaming service, and maybe even quality wasn't really so much of an issue of just like, we're just going to let ABC do its ABC thing. And, I mean, the shows are wrapping up at Netflix. It seems like they're finishing up on ABC. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen over on Hulu, but it seems like Disney's going to own that streaming service possibly outright someday, too. So, just timely consolidation, but they've had
7 seasons of a show is pretty good.
Yeah, they've had a good run. They won us back over. I hated that first season. It was garbage, but the second Borden Whedon just crawled his way back. And this is great. A great thing about Chris being here, he never gets to see the hand motions I do I do anyway, even if you're not here. So
so in S.H.I.E.L.D., season 6, there's a lot of space, a lot of weird time. They had time travel last season, space travel. They're all over the place. They're just doing what they want to do now. And while it might not affect the MCU as a whole, I think it is still the closest knit show to the MCU. So because we have Agent Coulson, who's supposedly dead, but now there's another guy from a different universe or dimension. I don't know what's going on, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 7 will be the last, so they can prep and move properly. We personally sat in the Marvel Games panel, and I only bring this up because I just picked up, literally on the way back from San Diego, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 to play on the airplane.
Chris was just like, I will not go back to the airport without a new video game.
That's right. So, and they said that we're going to get free DLC that lets us play Cyclops and Loki and Colossus in the game. So, I think I get Loki as soon as I pop it in that Switch later today before I leave here, and then Cyclops and Colossus later in the year, and then there'll be more paid DLC after that.
Yeah.
So, add more characters. Then we got to see the Avengers gameplay footage. This was like 20 minutes of like the whole first level of this game.
Yeah, basically they were like the beginning of the game, the stuff that you've seen released already is basically the training mission. Like the majority of the game is what happens after the events that you saw in that E3 trailer. So we got to see basically the skill sets of all the heroes. Maybe Cap a little less than everybody else. But yeah, we got long segments with Thor and Hulk and Black Widow and maybe was the longest.
Yeah, so like they actually showed us the whole gameplay. They didn't skip anything. The trailer has a lot of this already in it, but it skips the actual gameplay sections. It just cuts like it's a movie. So we get to see, like Black Widow taking on Taskmaster, and then they show some stuff later, like some brief snippets where you actually get skill trees that show some custom costumes people get.
Yeah, they showed Hulk and his like, kind of mobster casino.
Yeah, Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah, so it looks like they're okay with being a little goofy with skins.
Yeah, so I think the skins are going to be all paid, and that's how this money's going to be made, because all the DLC new characters and levels are free.
Yeah, and I think I leaned over to you. This is me falling for the skins, which is something I've never done. I told Chris, I want all of my Avengers on my team to look like they work for a casino. So
yeah, so we got to see that footage. People talked. I think the leak footage is online too, but like we saw it. It's real. It looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's platform agnostic. You can buy it on Switch, PC, not Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, or Stadia. And you can play it on any of those. No crossplay is confirmed, but like if you pre-order the PlayStation, you get early beta access. Yeah. And it looks good. People said they were concerned about the gameplay footage. I think maybe at E3, but they didn't show any. So now they have. And
yeah, I mean, I think I'm more cautiously optimistic than anything else because, like they said, this is just the beginning opening of the game. So we're not seeing possibly any of the more complicated moves that you can do. What we saw, it seemed pretty almost like straightforward, like beat 'em up. It seems like you just push forward on the joystick and just like maybe hit the action button to beat up what's in front of you. So I would expect as the game goes on, maybe it gets a little bit more complex, especially with the customization. But I'm always here for these games for the story. I love the story elements. I mean, I've been playing Uncharted, and the gameplay in that game is very straightforward. It's just basically climbing around with very basic shooting. So it seems like they're going to have a really fun story going on here.
Yeah, me and Quentin talked, because me and Quentin are the gamers.
Yes,
the three of us.
I'm the plebeian.
It looks like it's cooldown management, which is a lot like, I don't know if you played God of War yet, Mike, but
well, you're the one that told me it's from the same that they hired a guy.
Yeah, the action the fighting thing for God of War, and it looks just like the God of War. Like you're fighting like a group of like several enemies, and you have to figure out how to take them down using the abilities you have.
Yeah,
while they recharge.
You can pin a guy down with Thor's hammer, and then you can go beat other people up. I thought that was clever.
And he's like swinging them outside of the little area you're fighting.
Yeah, they like disappear off into the horizon as you knock them off the bridge.
It looked fun, and then there was some actual like later gameplay stuff in like a forest. It looked like, and some other stuff.
Oh yeah, that was a big reveal too of just seeing Iron Man fly around in a wooded area.
Yeah, and like have like all his rockets and stuff. Yeah. So I'm very excited for this game, to say the least. And if anyone's concerned, I will tell you it blew me away there. And I got to see the guy who's in charge of the president of Marvel Games, Bill Roseman, on the floor later. And I thanked him for this, all the stuff he's doing in gaming, because there was a lot more gaming stuff there. But I don't remember.
That's a whole other aspect of Comic-Con is really cool. Is just being able to run into these people. I'm not sure if anybody out there is familiar with the YouTube channel Freddie W. They've really blown up over the years from just doing little short films to getting their own shows on Hulu and doing kind of like Black Mirror-esque shows on their own, which has been really cool. And I saw just one of the producers that works with that YouTube channel just kind of on the floor, chatted with them, handed them a comic book and a sticker. So yeah, you can totally run into any span of professionals at this convention, and you can literally tell them, hey, good job, thanks you for making some good games. Yeah. I'll buy them.
yeah. I mean, I appreciate it, because it was funny because when we were in the games panel, like Ultimate Alliance 3 came out like an hour after we were done. Like we left the panel like, yeah, you can go buy it at 9:00 tonight. So that's fine.
Yeah, the guy moderating that panel was hilarious too. I started
Greg
following
Miller
him.
from IGN. Yeah.
Shout out to Greg Miller. I doubt he has enough free time to listen to our podcast, but if anybody knows Greg Miller, tell him I think he's really funny, and I started following him because of that panel.
Yeah, he's good moderators this year. Titans season 2 will debut September 16th, 2019. If you have the DC streaming service app.
Or what other streaming service could you have to watch this coming out next year?
Yeah, it's HBO Max, but Titans not coming to HBO Max yet.
I bet it will.
Probably will later, but not a debut at least. And then we have a couple pics from their panel where it shows a low res of Deathstroke and a low res of Aqualad there.
I'm gonna need to wait for the high res, because is that a goatee on Aqualad? And it looks like it's like craft paper just glued to his chin. I'll wait for the HD, but the suit, from what I can tell, looks cool.
Yeah, both of them look pretty good. I mean, that's fine if you like Titans. They look like they're. I thought that Deathstroke photo was like something from that the Snyder footage.
Release the Snyder Cut. Did you see that banner flying around when you were waiting in line?
I saw all 3 people who want to release the Snyder Cut. But that Deathstroke, he's like in the back of a plane, and it looks like that test footage they did with Deathstroke.
He must have been flying that plane around at Comic-Con with the banner that said release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah. Yes, Lord. But yeah, so if you're into Titans, you got that to look forward to. It's coming up right around the corner. Doom Patrol got renewed for season 2. And, knowing that it's an effects-heavy show, they're going to have to wait until next year to do it. And what that means, it will come on DC Universe and HBO Max for Doom Patrol. So they're going to fraction their things for now. And if you get HBO Max, my assumption is they're going to keep it standalone. And if you just keep the app and do minor updates, and if you have your HBO Max, you can log into the DC.
Yeah,
universe.
who knows? They got a lot of communication. They got to figure out with their consumers.
Yeah. So you got that if you like Doom Patrol. They didn't really show us anything else. If you're into R-rated cartoon shows,
not hentai, not
hentai, cartoons. Harley Quinn's animated series preview trailer came out, and Lord, they used some language in there. And she loves beating people with a baseball bat.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we get to see some pretty high-tier characters in too. She's palling around with Batman. The Joker was in there.
Clayface and Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely angled for comedic effect. The animation didn't really sell me that much. It looks like they're trying to do it on a budget, which makes sense for the DC streaming app. So it's not like they're going all out. And actually, I've been starting to hear people kind of just complaining of the quality of animation over at Warner Brothers in general. I think Batman Hush is coming out soon, and some people have been seeing the trailers for that and comparing that to the beautiful comic book of Hush and then seeing the animation adaptation. Of course, you're always going to lose a little bit there, but I think some people out there are kind of hoping maybe Warner Brothers steps it back up to the quality that they used to have. But Harley Quinn will be all right as long as it's funny, because as long as your content's hilarious, it doesn't really matter how it's animated. At Comic-Con this weekend, there was a panel for the 20th anniversary celebration of home movies, which was an Adult Swim original, and that animation was awful. It was just literally squiggly lines and characters, but it was honestly hilarious. So as long as they nail the comedy down, I won't be too harsh on them on the
to me, it looked like Clayface is kind of be like the humor person. He turns into a thumbs up at some point.
And I think he was like a bartender in one scene, wasn't he? Or something like that. Maybe they're doing a villain lounge.
Yeah, he's just turning into different stuff. So I think he might be the thing. But they use some language in that show. That's not going to be for kids.
Language.
So if you're into Arrow and the show ends later this year in the next season, Brandon Routh showed up on their panel, and Brandon Routh, he play Ray Palmer in Legends of Tomorrow? Yes, but he'll be suiting back up as Superman again for the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
That'll be fun. I mean, there's going to be lots of different Earths colliding, literally from that comic book story. So you could see Superman showing up like that. I mean, we're not too deep in the CW lore over there. I still watch The Flash, and I tell Chris every once in a while when something really interesting happens on it. But usually I force him to watch these crossovers. So he's at least going to watch the crossover this year. And stay tuned, and we'll talk.
Apparently,
about
I'm watching the crossover this year. But knowing that it is the wrap up of Arrow completely, that might be interesting to do. But Brandon Routh is not playing his 2006 version of Superman again because of the rights to that. He's playing the Kingdom Come version because he showed up in the comic suit for that one. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Kingdom Come one. In that one, superheroes, I don't know, they just kind of went away to do their own little things, mm-hmm. and it's much older. It's a really good comic written by Mark Waid, but he can't play the same one, which is what people wanted him to do. So, but he had the Kingdom Come suit on for Superman, so maybe we'll see that version of him. So, good for Brandon Routh who gets to be Superman again after all those years. Batwoman, the actress for that, had to pull out of the panel due to filming her show Batwoman. But the Batman villain Hush, that Mike just brought up, will actually be the main bad guy in the show for the first season. And the actor Burt Ward, who was the 1960s Robin in Batman and Robin, will appear at some point.
That's cool.
He's going to have a cameo or something, not not a main role, but we'll see what he does with that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some links for different trailers out there for the CW universe, but their filming schedule conflicts, like Chris just said, directly with Comic-Con. So usually if there's trailers or sneak peeks for things at Comic-Con, all it is just kind of almost like a look back at other seasons, especially with the Arrow one, where they're just kind of doing an omnibus of looking back at all the seasons of Arrows. You don't really get any reveals of the trailers, just kind of there to hype people up, and then the cast flies down from Vancouver Vancouver to kind of like do Q&A with people in those halls. So Comic-Con's really not the time for the CW shows. So I guess stay tuned, and we'll probably be getting more news about that later down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I assume probably August, because they'll be hot on the heels of, they're coming out in September, so that'll be when we'll get it. But Batwoman's gonna have the villain Hush, which is normally a Batman villain, so I think they're gonna like delve into why he hates Batman a little more. Batman Beyond, we gotta sit in the whole panel for Batman Beyond with the voice actors, including Kevin Conroy, the iconic voice of Batman the Animated Series.
Such an awesome voice.
And Will Friedle, who was the voice of Terry McGinnis in that. They announced the Blu-ray box set for the entire series. They rescanned a lot of them, and they had to upscale some other ones that got destroyed.
Yeah, I liked how honest they were with it, too. They're like, okay, listen, there's like 50 episodes of Batman Beyond. We were able to find the originals for about 30 of them, and the other ones, we had to upscale them. So I thought it was cool that they showed us the side-by-sides for both of those types. And it was just really cool hearing them talk about Batman Beyond. And they brought out Bruce Timm, who's kind of the architect of this whole Warner Brothers animation universe of Batman, the animated series, Justice League, and stuff. So it was funny to hear their stories about how like the studio wanted a younger Batman so they could basically get a younger audience. And they're just like, well, if we're going to make a brand new Batman, he's going to be awesome. So
and they got it greenlit the day of. They told them, they're like, okay, we'll come back in a couple weeks of the pitch. And they're like, no, do it now.
Yeah, do it now. We need it. We need it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really cool to see that.
That they were all telling stories about the episodes and the production of the episodes. It was some really good insight. And I've never seen Batman Beyond, so like to me,
Chris has got some education to do. Really fun. If you haven't checked out Batman Beyond, you'll have the chance to do it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and the Blu-ray does include the movie Return of the Joker. So
where Mark Hamill reprises his role as the Joker, and it's dark too. They weren't even the panelists up there weren't sure if this was the rated R cut of Return of the Joker, but man, that's going to be quite a box set. They kept telling you, go pre-order it now, because a cute little kid came up to the microphone and did a Q&A and asked a question everybody had of when are we getting a new season of Batman Beyond, and Bruce Timm was basically like, hey, if you go out and everybody buys this Blu-ray box set and we get enough attention, we might be able to make more of it. Yeah. Which, honestly, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, it would just be on DC Universe, so Mike, you'd have to get that to watch it. But so Batman Beyond, it was really fun to see that and do that. The Boys, which is all over there because it comes out like next week, and Amazon had a lot of stuff, and we had to skip out on some of that. It's already been renewed for season 2. They have a lot of faith in this show with Carl Urban, and
good on them. Seth Rogen wraps up his show Preacher and just starts another one over on a different network. So that keeps on rolling. They were doing some viral marketing down there at the con of when I was waiting in line to go check out Primal and Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites. They were handing out these flyers of like come join our protest against the soups or whatever. Yeah. Just kind of a weird word, but I guess maybe it got across well in the original comic book version. So yeah, Amazon was out there pushing the boys.
It was on every bus.
Yeah, I'll take this moment real quick because I don't think it's in the show notes, but I got to sit in the panel for Genndy Tartakovsky's new cartoon Primal. He's the guy who created everybody's favorite cartoon growing up, Dexter's Lab, and he also did more recently Samurai Jack. Those are all his properties.
And the Star Wars Clone Wars animated show.
The animated one, which are beautiful. Yeah. And if you've ever seen any of Genndy's work, you'll notice he's very light on dialogue. And not just because he's not a person that doesn't like to write, but he just knows when to leave his cards on the table, basically. He knows when music needs to be more important in his storytelling and when just to show you with the art of animation how to tell a story. So we got to see the first episode of his new show on Adult Swim called Primal, which a friend of the show, Quentin, was there with me watching it, and boy, was it brutal. And I need it now. I tweeted about it as soon as it was done, saying that he's obviously going to get the Animation Emmy for this, or an Eisner Award or something. Throw all the awards at him, because this just looks beautiful, because it's about a caveman basically living in a fictitious time, but, it looks realistic to where humans lived alongside of dinosaurs, which technically never happened, but hey, it's a cartoon, so they're making it happen anyway. So there's no dialogue in this the show because English was not invented. I'm assuming that there may be grunts, if you will, or some sort of vague communication between other cave people, maybe with like sticks and scrawls. I don't know, but no one's talking. So he took the stage and he was saying how it's great where you don't have to worry about a dialogue track when you're mixing your show, because now your music and your sound effects can really go full force and take up all of your speaker bandwidth, basically. So we got to see some brutal stuff of dinosaurs eating other dinosaurs. We got to see this caveman just mutilating other animals with tons of blood everywhere. Very emotional and beautiful. So I'll leave it with a quote that Gindi set up on stage, where the art direction for the show is no blue skies and no green grass. So that's some of the limitations he puts on his crew there. So check out Primal when it comes out on Adult Swim. I don't remember the date. I would assume it's soon if they have the first episode done and we got to watch it. So I checked that out when I was in the line for Indigo Ballroom, and that's when the boys people came by with their flyers. So that's my tangent, but boy, I think it's worth it.
All right. Some of the other stuff, one of the bigger panels on Saturday for Hall H, a lot of people were in line for, was actually Star Trek. They had a Star Trek panel, and they brought on the Picard show with, I think Patrick Stewart might have been there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was.
I was too over it.
He was too dejected
in the morning to say, but they gave us the all access trailer for Comic-Con. And I'm not a Star Trek fan. Not watched The Next Generation, but it looks like it takes place at least 20 years after the other one, which would be about appropriate time-wise. And they're bringing back some of the big characters from Picard, saying they've got Jerry Ryan as I think 7 of 9, who's like a Borg person, a Borg rebellion. They even showed the Borg cube at the end there. He's protecting some sort of girl who has some sort of ability to maybe in the Earth. And they bring back Data again at the end of that show. So it looks like they're pulling out all the stops for the show with Patrick Stewart for CBS All Access.
I have nothing to add because I was watching the trailer. I was like, well, this looks cool, but I don't know anything that's going on.
Yeah,
so.
I tangentially know Star Trek stuff because I'm like, what are these Borg people thing? And what have I seen? But I mean,
people seem very excited, and I'm happy for them that they're excited.
There's if you like The Next Generation, you're gonna love some of the references in this. Watchmen was also all over the place down there, so much that Mike got a bag from.
Yeah, I got a collectible bag of Watchmen. There's 2 Watchmen bag, and our hotel keys that were cards were branded with like these new Watchmen logos too.
Yeah, and they had like QR codes in them. And then there was a big. They had a trailer that came out, the Comic-Con trailer. And I'm putting it here in our show notes because we watched all these trailers together, by the way, for everyone. But the series is actually a prequel to the comic, at least, where Adrian Veidt...
Yeah, I think you mean a sequel, not a prequel.
I'm sorry, a sequel, yes. I'm looking at the 2 down below. But a sequel to the comic book many years later. Dr. Manhattan is in this. It's a big reveal.
Yeah, they show him briefly with like CCTV footage, almost it looks like on Mars.
And then at the end, he's actually on Earth picking up a blue mask. Jeremy Irons is playing Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt. And then the actress Jean Smart, they mentioned her name. She's the lady they're talking to. She's like, do you remember such and such? She's like, neither do I. Do you know how to tell them her name? Mask Cop and a Master.
Yeah.
She's like, neither do I. That's actually the character Silk Spectre 2, who was with Night Owl in the
okay, gotcha.
So she's looking to take a kind of different role as well. So this trailer it's very interesting.
It looks very politically charged. They're definitely kind of making a statement of maybe things going on in the country right now. Not exactly kind of talking about things, but the best thing about comic books and science fiction is allegory. So it looks like there's a lot of allegory going on here. The kind of the metallic Rorschach masks they're kind of cool. So I don't know if maybe people in the future have kind of twisted the words of Rorschach and kind of using his kind of maybe manifesto that he possibly might play a role from the movie. Maybe people have twisted that in the words that he actually truly doesn't believe, because why would you be wearing these kind of Rorschach-esque shiny mask when it doesn't seem like you're standing for probably what he stood for? So it seems like there's a lot of really cool stuff going on.
It looks very polished. It looks very HBO quality level. I'm gonna check this out. There was at one point they showed a Dr. Manhattan booth at a carnival. It looked like they actually had that booth at Comic-Con. You could step inside of it.
They did. Yeah, that's cool.
It was a couple blocks away. So Yeah, Watchmen. There you go.
Yeah,
Another trailer.
yeah. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show in a couple weeks. But HBO was also there with His Dark Materials, which we watched the trailer for that and it looked very, very expensive. Since we're about to talk about Netflix here in a second, I think Netflix mentioned a few weeks ago that they're going to stop. They're going to try not to spend so much money on new content going forward. It looks like HBO is doing the exact opposite, putting a bunch of money into things like HBO and His Dark Materials.
And they said that Netflix, but they keep announcing things left and right. And I'm like, maybe they're paying higher IP premiums and not greenlighting so many of the undershows.
Yeah, maybe.
Because a lot of the cosplay, I did see a lot of Umbrella Academy cosplays this weekend. People from the Umbrella Academy all over the place.
Yeah, and I think you're also missing the number one Netflix property, Scoops Ahoy, taking over the convention this year. Every year, there always seems to be one standout costume. In the past, it was Rey from Star Wars, Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, Deadpool's always. There's always Deadpool.
Yeah, but it was easier when the movie came out.
Yeah, there was. I saw my fair share of fat Thors and chubby Spider-Man from Spider-Verse, so really representing the dad bod out there. But yeah, Scoops Ahoy, everybody. They came in pairs. They came in quads.
Scoops Troops, all
Truos. Yeah, I yelled at them every time I saw them. I was just like Scoops Troops. So if you wanted to guess what your Halloween party is going to be like in a couple months, it's going to be Scoops Troops.
Yeah. But Netflix dropped on us The Witcher with Henry Cavill playing Geralt of Rivia. This trailer looks wild.
Yeah, another expensive-looking show. I don't really know much about this.
He's hunting monsters for money.
Yeah,
That's about
it seems like they mentioned about humans being able to use magic. I'm sure people out there who played the games are probably much more familiar with what's going on here, or definitely who read the books. They probably know what's going here. I don't know any of it, but I'm very impressed with the way with how Henry Cavill looks. There's like a semi-shirtless scene with him in there. It's like, so he's still just as ripped as he was when he was Superman. If anybody out there was worried about that.
Well, the hair looks better in motion as well. And at one part of the end, he looks like he's like got black eyes and he's like powering up to fight a huge spider in a lake or something.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, there's gonna be monsters in this.
Yeah,
so.
we got to see monsters. They're gonna be monsters. They're gonna be magic. It looks fun. Some people reached out talking to us about the show, saying that they're looking forward to seeing what The Witcher is going to be. So am I. It looks fun. It looks extremely nerdy. Looks like Netflix is gonna hit fantasy with The Watcher. As we said, Amazon's gonna hit it with Lord of the Rings. Watchmen looks like. HBO looks like they're going to try to hit it with maybe His Dark Materials. Kind of different type of fantasy there, but it seems like magic is still involved with that show possibly.
Yeah, no clue, but it looks pretty good. So you can watch that trailer there as well. Earlier in the week, not at Comic-Con because Fox/Disney didn't take it there, but The King's Man got a full trailer, and it looks, to be honest, I'm really surprised with this darker telling of the Kingsman history.
Yeah, I don't see basically any wacky antics or the kind of more of the cartoon direction the second Kingsman took. So I'm okay with that. I know me and Chris are a little split on the second Kingsman movie, but I'm okay with this direction. I mean, it doesn't look like they're necessarily like Snyder-fying it of going like really dark with it, but it looks like they're going to take more of a serious route.
Well, like I said, to have an agency that operates so effectively later on, they had to refine themselves in war and become really efficient in wartime. And it looks like the movie's main actor is actually Ray Fiennes, being the main actor. And I thought not the kid who was with him. I thought the kid would focus on the kid, like do a revert, like an Eggsy in the World War I kind of thing. But it looks like they're going the other way and focusing on him. And he's got some good action scenes and some stuff like that. I was really impressed with the look of this movie. Is
this still Matthew Vaughn directing?
Okay. He's done. This is his baby now.
Yeah, so we'll see like the ramp up speed kind of effects that are really cool. So I'm looking forward to more of that.
Yeah. He's always done a great visual style with those movies. We like them or not. I mean, they look good. So I'm excited to kind of see where that goes as well. So check that trailer out in our show notes. Wrapping up here, a couple more. The Walking Dead had they had a panel. Yeah, they had a big panel this weekend. Dana Guerrera, is that her name? She plays Michonne with the swords in the show.
Okay.
She's leaving the show after this season, so they're losing characters left and right.
She's probably getting cast in a Marvel movie, and she's already in Black Panther, I guess. Yeah,
she's been in Avengers. But the movie series where Rick Grimes left, and he's not living in the city. They promised at least 3 movies. are going to get exclusive theatrical releases. They're not going to AMC channel. So
I think this is the first time on the show where I'm going to say I don't care.
that's not the first time.
I don't watch it anymore, and I actually overheard people talking about The Walking Dead on the show floor, just like people randomly in a crowd with me, and they're just like, do people still watch the show anymore? Like, so there's people seriously like, who's still alive on that show? What's going on? Like, is this person still there? So just, it's not at the height of its powers that it used to be, so I'm surprised that they still think it needs a theatrical release, you know?
Well,
like,
I mean, I don't think they would do it if they didn't have the faith behind
maybe
it. Because Rick Grimes was a draw, and now he's been gone long enough to, like, this is a shot in the arm, but now it doesn't necessarily mean you have to watch the TV show because it's not going to tie to it, but, like...
It's probably one of two things are going to happen. It's going to be a very limited release, kind of like what they've done with Game of Thrones in the past, where, like, oh, you can go see the Battle of the Bastards episode in the theaters if you catch it this one weekend. Or maybe the other thing that could happen is that they just knock it out of the park and they just show us the most intense trailer. It doesn't look anything like a Walking Dead episode. It looks like it has a theatrical budget, and then we're all excited for Walking Dead again. Maybe that'll happen. Who knows? I didn't know this, but you told me earlier this week the Walking Dead comic book. Done.
Yeah,
it's over with. Like
193 episodes.
Yeah, it was just like a secret ending. Like no one really knew what was happening. You said Robert Kirkman and Image Comics kind of showed that it was going to keep on going.
Yeah, fake solicitations for future months, so people didn't know. It was going to end.
And it just wrapped up. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't keep up with the comic books. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if anything got explained, which is one thing that I think the TV show needed at least a little bit. You know, some sort of explanation of what happened in this world. You know, with a comic book, it's a different type of animal. You can kind of get away with that. So maybe The Walking Dead proper, you know, everything maybe will start wrapping up here in a couple years.
Yeah. But the Walking Dead is only going to theaters, so that's not a limited time. Like, it's a big weekend, and it's not done by AMC's Universal. So AMC's a producer, but like, it's a Universal movie.
Yeah.
I just had to double check because I'm like, maybe I want to make sure I had that information right, but they are working with a company called Skybound Entertainment.
Yeah, that's the separate kind of entertainment company that Robert Kirkman is with.
And they did the game Super Fight, the card game Super Fight. Have you ever heard of Super Fight?
No, I haven't, but that's cool.
I've heard a lot about Super Fight. But, they so it looks like it's going to go through. So if you're a big fan of that Walking Dead, if that's the thing, you know, you still see people dressed up as Negan. Oh, that guy thought I yelled at him in Negan the other night when we were walking back.
Oh yeah, he had a good Negan voice too. Man, that's great. You can just walk around downtown San Diego and everybody's dressed up in costumes.
He had a baseball bat. He could have hit me.
Yeah, he could have.
Offended him.
Yeah.
Because I said nerd alert, but I was yelling across the street. He thought I was yelling at him. But anyway, it's fine. And lastly, Mike's heart's so broken here. The Akira live action remake with Taika Waititi and Warner Brothers is put definitely on hold with Waititi working on Thor 4. I mean, I know you really wanted him to work on Akira first.
I mean, we were all really confused how his style and taste was going to fit with this movie.
I'm not confused.
In my opinion, since the anime movies just never seem to work, I feel like I shouldn't get my hopes up. But it almost seems like what's going to happen here is Taika is just going to, and I think he's just going to end up being an executive producer. They're just going to bring on a different director and put the movie out. You know, he's a busy man. You know, he's working on Thor 4. I don't think this is a situation where he's going to come back to Akira. So that's my pessimistic view of it, that they're just going to keep the project moving. Because they were talking about how they were doing this kind of international casting for it. They wanted to get just the right casting, but you know, who knows what's going on here. In the shadow of Comic-Con, I feel like this is the least of my worries, and you know, we'll track it, of course. You know, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll let you know any hot Akira news that rears its head. But
I won't hear any more for a long time.
If it's on hold, we might not. But be prepared for them to just tap a different director and then just make another crappy anime movie, and then we'll just forget it ever happened.
My assumption is I'm going to take the other approach that Waititi's going to do it in between, like right after, like whenever Thor's rap post. He's going to go work on it really quickly and make a fast one. So,
can you make an Akira movie just real quick? We just need one real quick.
So, or not at all. Either way, I'm not offended. So that is our Comic-Con wrap up, Mike.
Wow, this is an omnibus, if you will.
Yeah, 2 full hours here. I need to take a shower and edit this, and then go to bed because I got to wake up. I got to leave your house in 6.5 hours. So I need to get that going. Mike, let's just go ahead and just get our plugs done. We've kept people waiting long enough. Where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter. That's the best place you can go to find that little Kevin Feige comic that I made and check out the sticker that I handed out at Comic-Con, and you can read my webcomics over at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to make sure you make a full and safe recovery from your sunburn and you make it back to your home on your flights, and maybe you'll win a Nintendo Switch on the way back. Maybe there's going to be some sort of weird cross-promotion there.
No.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or head over to Instagram, Valdan87, where I've been documenting my food journey this week. I'm going to post some other pictures from the convention on there once I go through them. It's hard to get your phone out and take pictures because they make you keep moving.
Yeah, they make you keep moving. And, you know, if you really want to see what the floor looks like, just go search San Diego Comic-Con hashtag. Pretty much everybody takes the same picture, unfortunately. So you're basically only taking them for yourself because you're not really showing the internet anything they haven't seen before.
Exactly. And over there, so you can do that. Mike, people want to listen to more of our episodes. We've got our next 2 years of Marvel review shows planned out and all that news to follow. Whatever our next superhero movie review is, I don't know what it is at this point. I need to go update our page. I still haven't updated our page with these dates. I'm going to have that done this week. So we'll have that done this week as well. Where can you find us at?
As always, visit superheroslate.com, especially out there if you're a new listener. We have show notes for every episode that we do, so you can keep track textually everything that we've been talking about. So, like we said, this is one of the bigger shows that we do every year. The bullet points are off the chain in the show notes, so tons of links. You don't have to hunt this down. We did it all for you. I watched Chris for the very first time in person assemble these show notes, and he was like lightning on this keyboard. So go check out superheroslate.com to check out these show notes, and you can find us anywhere you love getting podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place. We push it wherever we can put it. So you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. So if you're lucky enough to be at the convention and receive that Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet holding the cheeseburger design, and you don't just want that on a sticker, you can head to superheroslate.com/store. You can get that on a shirt. You can get it on a hoodie. You can get it on baby clothes, I think. You can put your baby in Superhero Slate.
Right.
I find that really humorous. So you can get that at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you guys. We want to know what you think about the show and what you think about the things that we're talking about. So what are your opinions on all of this Marvel stuff that just got announced? What are your opinions on even some of the smaller DC things that were announced on the television space? We want to know what you think, so you can reach out to us on our Twitter accounts, the official Twitter channel. If you want, we have direct email. If you want to write a really long soliloquy that just doesn't fit in the characters on social media, you can hit us up on at superheroslate@gmail.com. We got that all over on our website. And of course, you can become a superhero. You can become a super fan of this podcast, if you will. And all you have to do to do that is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, every Comic-Con that's possible. So stay tuned. We love you guys. We do this for the love of all of this stuff, and this is, for me, has been a really fun 2 hours. So I've had a blast. So Chris, it's great having you in my room.
Yes.
But you're not going to be here next week, so make sure your Skype is finely tuned, and we'll keep this train rolling.
I never have a problem with what we talked about. So I'm ready to go get this stuff done and into this week-long journey.
Yeah.
Really. And God, I want to feel better by the time I get back to work. So thank you guys for listening to our super awesome, super long, super Comic-Con wrap-up episode, and we'll catch you guys next week.
All right. Adios, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Burn, baby, burn. Comic-Con Inferno.
We don't have the rights for that song.